Ready?
Okay, you good? Soon to be good.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, this is a regular meeting of the Flagler Beach City Commission. Today is Thursday, February 10th. Time is 5:30 p.m. This meeting will be continued until all items are completed. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Mayor, if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and we will follow that by a moment of silence to honor our veterans, members of the armed forces, and first responders.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Ken might be a little bit late if he does make it. Yep, a little bit of housekeeping. If everybody could take a look at their cell phones and make sure they are on silent vibrate or powered off. And Mayor, we have a proclamation.
Yes, we do. Just a moment. Those that are here from the Flagler County Advocates Alliance, if you'd like to come forward. All right, tonight's proclamation is for Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. Whereas the city of Flagler Beach is committed to the well-being and protection of our youth, the safety of our communities, and to fostering a society based upon mutual respect for one another, with zero tolerance for any forms of victimization and abuse. And whereas teen dating violence is a serious crime that can involve physical, sexual, verbal, emotional, economic, and or other abusive behavior, including harassment and cyberbullying via texting, emailing, instant messaging, or posting on social media. And whereas women who are 16 to 24 years in age are more vulnerable to intimate partner violence, experiencing abuse at a rate of nearly triple the national average. And whereas 1 in 3 adolescents in the United States is a victim of physical, emotional, or verbal abuse from a dating partner, a figure that far exceeds rates of other types of youth violence. 1 in 10 high school students has purposely been hit, slapped, or physically harmed by a boyfriend or girlfriend. 1 in 10 teens reported sexual victimization from a dating partner, and 1 in 4 teens in a relationship report their boyfriend or girlfriend isolating them from all friends and family. And whereas young people who have been victimized by an abusive dating partner can experience serious negative effects to their physical and emotional health, and are more likely to be depressed, develop low self-esteem, perform poorly in school, engage in risky behaviors such as drug and alcohol use, and contemplate or attempt suicide. And whereas dating violence affects teens across all races, genders, religions, nationalities, sexual orientations, and socioeconomic statuses, it disproportionately affects lesbian, gay, and bisexual youth who experience rates of intimate partner violence that are almost twice as high as rates for heterosexual youth. Transgender youth report even higher rates of victimization and dating violence than their heterosexual peers. And whereas parents and guardians of victims of dating abuse are often unaware of the problem, studies show that only 33% of teens in an abusive relationship ever told anyone about the behavior, and 81% of parents responded either that teen dating abuse is not an issue or that they did not know that there was an issue. And whereas Flagler County Advocates Alliance are working together to increase public understanding of this problem and mobilize community efforts to end teen dating violence. Now therefore, be it proclaimed by the City of Flagler Beach Commissioners that hereby declare February 2022 as National Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month here in Flagler Beach, and applaud the efforts of many victim service providers, police officers, prosecutors, national and community organizations, and private sector supporters for their efforts in promoting awareness about teen dating violence. Thank you. Would you like to say anything? And then also come up for a picture. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Taylor, the youth advocate at Family Life Center. I would like to express my deepest gratitude on behalf of Family Life Center for taking the time to acknowledge and bring awareness to teen dating violence. It is incredibly important to understand that intimate partner violence is not just an adult issue, but very prevalent in teens' lives. Most victims of intimate partner violence are women ages 16 to 24. They also have the highest rate of mortality due to intimate partner violence. I believe that it is important to open up the conversation about teen dating violence in hopes of survivors having a safe space to tell their stories and preventing an increase in victims. My hope is that as a community, Flagler Beach, alongside FLC, our partners, supporters, and generous donors, we uplift teens, educate them on healthy and unhealthy relationship habits, and create a safe space to continue to prevent teen dating violence. Thank you again for your time.
All right, next we have deletions and changes to the agenda. We will probably need to make a decision on the appointments, item number 7. We didn't get a hold of all the candidates to let them know that they needed to be here, so I think we are missing a couple.
Yeah, that was my fault. I apologize. I lost track of time and didn't email them to remind them. I do see a handful of them here, but they're not all here. So the term doesn't end until February 25th, so we can stick it on the next agenda. There's no meetings between the 25th and the 27th, so I feel comfortable pushing it.
And next meeting is what date?
I'm sorry. I keep saying 27th.
So it's the 24th.
24th.
That was quick.
Okay, good.
I can add what's in the 10th.
And
I got 27th stuck in my head from last month.
so is everybody okay with pushing that to next agenda? Candidates, is there any time conflict, the candidates that are here? If everybody can make it then? Okay, so we will take item 7 and push that till next agenda, so that way it's fair for everybody, so we can have all the candidates here in one spot. And that's not going to create any conflict for meetings or anything like that, right, Penny? Okay. Any other deletions or changes to the agenda?
I'd like to talk about possibly changing an ordinance during commission comments.
Okay. What you got, right?
I also wanted to talk about something we may want to change while we're working on these land development codes.
You're going to cover that
Fits or not,
under comments?
under comments. Sandwich signs, is that something we can?
Talk about the same thing.
Okay. Is it?
Oh, well, she's going to talk about it. So that,
too.
all right. Well, it looks like under commission and comments, we will be talking about sandwich signs.
Okay.
All right, any other changes, deletions to the agenda? All right, move on to consent agenda. Item 6, approve regular meeting minutes of January 27th, 2022. Did everybody get a copy and review it? Okay, any comments on it?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. Any members of the public wish to speak on consent agenda meeting minutes? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimous. I went and skipped right over public
You
comments.
did.
I was too busy scratching stuff on my notes here. I completely skipped it. All right, public comment period. This is for comments regarding items that are not on the agenda. I can't believe you let me get away with that. Citizens are encouraged to speak, however, comments should be limited to 3 minutes and addressed to me, and we ask that the audience have no reactions, positive or negative, so anybody can speak freely. Any members of the public wish to speak on items that are not on the agenda? You can come on up. Please start with your name and address, please.
So James Sherman, 1916 South Flagler Avenue. Nothing that important really to cover, but I just wanted to, wanted to share with you guys, I thought this first Friday was fantastic. I was really impressed to see most people, everybody up there at the first Friday. I thought it was really had a nice local feel to it, and it just, I don't know, it was really nice to see like all the people with their chairs out there listening to the band, and the weather was great. So really enjoyed that. And I also was able to attend the FB3 meeting, and it was really nice to see all of you guys there as well. I just think that those were, just really great to, it gave the business owners a chance to speak with the commissioners and kind of, voice some concerns and things. I know one of the topics you guys are going to talk in, commission comments is one of the topics that was brought up there. So I thought that was a really great opportunity for the business owners to kind of know what's going on in the city, especially if they're not able to make these meetings and things. So that was my first one to attend, and it was wonderful. So that's all I really have, and thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other members of the public wish to make a comment on items not on the agenda? If you can, please start your name and address.
Good evening, Joanne Snowman, 1313 North Ocean Shore Boulevard. I wanted to invite everyone to the Flagler Women's Club Candidate Night on Tuesday from 7 to 8:30. All of the people running for commission have RSVP'd yes, so everybody will be there, and we welcome your questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Joanne.
Thanks for the invitation.
Quick question. If someone had a question, where would they submit that to?
You just submit it to me, we'll put it on a card and...
The night of or in
Yes,
advance?
Or in advance.
Okay, thank you.
Any other members of the public wish to speak under public comment for items not on the agenda? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. And we'll move on to general business. Item 7 is getting pushed to next meeting. Item 8, award bid number FB-2022-0201, which is a roof replacement. City manager, any comments on that?
No, sir. Staff is here to answer any technical questions, but the bids have come through. They were very competitive, and we have a recommendation, and we would need your approval to proceed. This is funded through a grant, so the sooner we get it done, the sooner we can file for reimbursement.
And this is a very low match grant, if I believe so, right?
0.
It's the
My
mitigation,
favorite number.
the mitigation grant, correct?
Exactly.
So this will be no cost to the local taxpayers. Commissioner Bellhumor.
Two things. One, at some point, we need to quit calling the senior center because it's not a senior
Know where
center.
that is. We know where that is.
What is it? What's its technical name? Cafeterium or something like that?
Cafetorium.
Cafetorium. All right. My second question was, is this through the same process that we are getting the windows?
Yes, sir. It's part of the same grant. I think we got 194,000 and some change, Lee. Yeah. And so this is a portion of the 194, and then the rest of the balance of the project goes toward the windows and the other items.
Oh, okay. So this is something we've already checked off on as far as getting the money.
Yes, sir.
picking the
Money's
contractor to
in
do it.
hand as soon as we file
Okay.
for reimbursement.
Okay, understood. Okay.
Any other comments or questions? Commissioner Phillips?
I just have a question for Lee. So if I could ask you to come on up. Can you just talk a little bit about how you chose this contractor and have we worked with them before?
No, we have not worked with them before, but we did a competitive bid. There were 8 plan holders, 3 put bids in. And I'll tell you, I've been a licensed architect for 45 years. And this is the very first time this has ever happened to me. The difference between the lowest bid and the next lowest bid was $9 and
Yeah,
change.
that's amazing.
Can you believe that? $9 and change.
17 cents.
17 cents, there you go. So the contractor that we've awarded it to, we're talking about the roof. I'm getting the two mixed up. Yes, we have worked with AWS, and they come very highly recommended. Rick McFadden has dealt with them many, many times. So yes.
Okay, that's all I wanted. Thank you.
And I'm not sure you all know this or not, but it's not just the roof replacement of the senior center or whatever we want to name that building. I agree, it's not a senior center anymore. But it's also all of the walkways. It includes all of those walkways.
Yeah, it says.
And the rotted wood that you see when you walk under them, that's all going to be replaced with new wood.
Okay, that's good news. So that there's quite a bit of rotten wood in that
Quite a bit.
breezeway.
There's more rotten wood than there is decent
Yeah.
wood.
And some of those columns, have they already been repaired? They still need some repair.
Some of them, I mean, they're in decent shape, but yeah, they've been hit and bashed, and they're just CMU, so they just
Okay.
crack. But they are freshly painted, so that's good.
Any other questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to award bid number FB 220201 roof replacement.
A second.
All right, a motion, a second, I'll open this up to public comment. Any members of the public wish to speak on item number 8, which is the bid for the roof? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. And Penny, if you could roll call?
Commissioner Belhimer?
Yes.
Commissioner Mealy?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Chair Cooley?
Yes, the motion passes unanimous. Item 9, we have a update on the summer lifeguard program, and this is City Manager?
Yeah, I'll begin and turn it over to my trusted colleague, Tom. I just felt like with summer coming, and yeah, it's a little cool outside for us. I was complaining to somebody in Philadelphia the other day. I had to wear a long sleeve shirt 3 days in a row. I mean, what's going on? But anyway, summer will come, and one of the things we wanted to do in talking with the commission is kind of tighten up our lifeguard program and improve it and find efficiencies. And you know, I have to tip my hat to Tom and his staff, and also Kathleen, for working through some issues. Also, Bobby Pace was involved, and I think we're going to have a great plan. It's going to be simpler for the public to understand, and I have to credit Chair Cooley for this idea. Why don't we just say that the guarded beach is boardwalk to boardwalk? That's not confusing. You want to come to the beach? Great, come to the beach. But if you want to come to a guarded beach, this is where we're going to guard. And it helps us focus our effort. It helps us better communicate what we're doing. And we found some efficiencies in that process, which was helpful to the city. And so I've invited Tom tonight to brief you on all our plans. Most people think that Tom just works during the summer and then he takes the rest of the year off. That is definitely not the case. I can attest to that. And he does so many things above and beyond his job, but one of the things he does a great job is protecting the public. And I'm very proud of him, very proud of his staff. And I felt like tonight would be a good opportunity to update you all and what we have planned for the summer season. So, Tom?
And if you can, Tom, just make sure you're talking into a mic.
Push the button.
We on? Okay, yeah, I know it's really tough to start thinking about the summer, the weather being what it is, and being in the middle of February. But we find that this time of year, we always begin the process of planning for our summer program and what we're going to do. And it seems like we blink our eyes and it's May and we're ready to put guards on the beach again. So we wanted to give you a little bit of an update on where we've been, where we're coming from, and what we're transitioning into. And I know I wanted to get the PowerPoint together, and I guess I've been doing this a long time, maybe too long, because when I went to get the pictures, somebody was asking, do you have any older pictures of the junior lifeguards? And I said, well, yeah, sure, and let me look for them. And I looked and looked and finally found them. Here they are on one of these.
Oh, my God.
My lifeguard looked at me and said, what's that? So I guess I'm getting older, my lifeguards are getting younger.
You have anything that can read that?
No, this
No,
is a
the
relative.
technology is,
I do.
I've got plenty of
You can
pictures.
buy a external drive,
I can read that.
plugs in a USB port, and it reads those.
good. Yeah, we'll be over tomorrow to work that out.
You'll be able to recover the 1.4 megs that are on there.
Well, this is really hard to see. What this is here is looking back at where we're coming from. Is every year we need to submit our statistics to the United States Lifeguards Association. And when we look back on our statistics year after year, it shows us not only our effectiveness, but it gives us a lot of detailed information about the things we need to do to make improvements there. And this has been a little bit of a transition time in the last couple of years, and I've looked at the numbers compared to even, we called it 2019 BC, that's lifeguard saying, before COVID. Those are things that kind of changed drastically about the way you do things. But if you look at the top line there, if you can see it, we show the total beach attendance, how many people have visited the beach. And that number is really tough to get an accurate estimate, because what we were doing is pretty much looking at how many people are on the beach at one time, getting a count, and that was our estimate. But when you think about it, during that whole day on the beach, people are coming, people are going. So our one snapshot at 3 o'clock when the beach was crowded, maybe 2,000 people, but within those hours during the day, we had maybe another 1,000 that came, another 1,000 went home. So we're trying to find a better way of getting a count so we can really get an accurate number of how many people actually visit the beach.
Tom, if I may, just briefly to that point, I think that's a vital statistic for this community to have. And there is science and methodologies to it, and we're going to be reaching out to the university community to try to find some statisticians and people. Maybe we'll apply drone technology. There are different ways we can come to that figure more accurately, and our team is committed to working on that, because the beach is our economy, and knowing how many beach visitors we have is vital. And so I'll be working with Tom to try to make sure we have the most up-to-date methodologies to have that data.
Oh, we'll see how much their methodologies have progressed over time, because we've had college students come in and do that before. So it'll be interesting to see what advancements
the
they've made.
technology being different, yeah. I always wondered how they did bird counts.
Yeah. About the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've always tried that first Friday, and counting moving targets is just,
Yeah.
it's impossible, but we do the best we can. It's really tough, I know, to see the numbers here, but when we look at the number of rescues that we made over 100 rescues last summer. Guards did a really terrific job of seeing the rescues, and that's really 90% of making a rescue is
noticing that somebody is in trouble before you can go out and make the rescue. And when we broke down the rescues, they always ask us to break it down. How many rescues are just regular rescues? And we define a rescue as any time the lifeguard has to enter the water to help somebody. The majority, the overwhelming majority, if you look at the breakdown there, I think we had 84 rip current rescues and 17 surf rescues, which means that most of the time, if someone is in distress in the water, it's because they're caught in a rip current.
Scary.
We've had, the next two are, I think we've got scuba rescues and things like that, which we don't have to worry about here in Flagler Beach, fortunately. But going to the next line, and that line really kind of stood out to me because that gave us some information that was really kind of was important to what we're doing here this summer, is prevents. A prevent or a preventative action, and you could see it's 1,200 prevents. Every time a lifeguard blows a whistle and moves someone over to a safe area, every time they disseminate information about the current water conditions and safety conditions, that's a prevent. And looking back on past years, one thing that we noticed that we expected is every time our number of preventative actions goes up, the number of rescues goes down. It means less time that a lifeguard has to go in the water because they prevented something from happening before it did happen. And that's a key, and I kind of like when we submit these statistics to the United States Lifesaving Association, and their website address is on the bottom there, so anybody can get these statistics. It's great for the guards to see that boy, if I'm more proactive and I'm doing these preventive actions, there's less of a chance that I'm going to need to go into the water as a last resort to actually save somebody. The lines going across the bottom, we always want to see zeros. Of course, number of drownings and fatalities, and they break it down to in guarded beach and unguarded beach out of season. And the way we keep those at zero, we found, is basically through education is important. Most of the causes of drownings that we experience, it's people either making bad decisions or just not knowing the right thing to do, the right safety precautions to take. And sometimes the key here is more get out to the classrooms and educate people about safe measures. So if you go all the way to the right there, that's number of public safety lectures that we did. And that number is way, way down because in past years, 2019 and prior, before COVID, BC, I would go into the elementary schools and the middle schools, and we've hit every school in Flagler County, and we call it our Junior Lifeguard Traveling Roadshow. But basically, we do it in May, right before the kids are out for the summer, and it's a 45-minute presentation about water safety. And the children in the PE classes, all the PE classes will gather together in the auditorium, the gymnasium, and we give our presentation. So it's really a great way to reach just about every student in Flagler County. And we present it to the kids, hoping that the information that they learn, they can bring and educate their parents a little bit there. But this year, I don't know whether we're going to be able to get back into the schools again, but when we do, that number of lectures and number of people that we taught will be up over 1,000. That's where we want to be, because the education, that's going to be the key to prevention here. Getting into this year, I just wanted to show these two pictures here. These pictures were taken by a lady at Funky Pelican Restaurant, and she got a new camera. She was eating lunch, just playing with the camera in the morning on a lunch break, and it just so happened at that one time there was a rescue going on in front of the restaurant there. And I love that picture on the top because we talked about rip currents being the major reason that we need to go in and make rescues. That's a perfect view of what a rip current looks like. A lot of people, they get caught in rip currents because they don't know what a rip current is. They don't know how to avoid it. But if you look just above the line of lifeguards there, where that turbulent white water is extending out, that's your rip current. And basically what a rip current is similar to an inlet, where all the water, as the tide's coming in, There's land on both sides, and it can't go that way, so it all channels through an inlet. And a rip current is similar, except your sandbar is underneath the water, but where that line of turbulent water is, that's a deep spot, and that's a break in the sandbar. And the wave washes up on the beach, and then all the water tends to take the path of least resistance and goes right out there. That's a pretty nasty looking rip current out there, but it's picture perfect for somebody to see. What the lifeguards are doing is they're performing a human chain with the buoys and the lines there so that the lifeguard closest to the shore can get some footing and actually pull somebody in instead of trying to swim against the current there. And it's just a great rescue. I feel like the Funky Pelican owes us a little bit because we provide their entertainment for them, and they sit back here and they look at all these things going on here, but the lifeguards said they felt like Baywatch because everybody applauded when they did the rescue, but I like to see that it was very well done, and the lifeguards went and they did what they were trained to do. Prevention through education, and again, when we talked about the reasons that people drown, learning to swim or overestimating your swimming ability is a big reason. Spring break, one of the reasons that we run into trouble in spring break, one of the reasons people get in trouble is peer pressure. People that are not good swimmers, but the group is going out to the sandbar, so they got to go out too. But we took these top 10 safety tips along with our signage here, just to try to get the message out to people that these are the things you need to do to be safe. The top two pictures are our Swim Near a Lifeguard, which is the slogan for the United States Lifesaving Association, to try to get people to realize that the safest place I can be when I go in the ocean is to be in front of a lifeguard tower. That sign is up on our pier. It's mounted in a pocket there. You can see on the right picture where the two guys on each side of it, there's a handle there. If they pick it up and flip it, we've got the no lifeguard on duty on the other side of the sign. So the first thing the lifeguards will do when they come in is they flip the sign once we go on duty, so people know lifeguards are on duty. And when we shut down at the end of the day, the sign gets flipped again, so people know if they come to the beach, there is no lifeguard there. And when we do take the guards off the beach, we make a big grand production out of it. The lifeguards, they stand up on their tower, they twirl their flag 3 times, and they blow their whistle. So people in the water know we are getting down off the tower, that you are now swimming at your own risk if you continue to stay in the water there. And we make sure that we get eye contact with people that may be in the water if they know we are done with our day lifeguarding. We've got rip current signs and our beach warning flag signs at every tower. The beach warning flags, the best way I describe it to the children, it's like a traffic light. Red is hazard. Red means stop. I'll tell the younger kids, what do you do with a red light? And everybody says stop. And I said, well, you got to be careful because that means it's rough conditions, and you really got to consider whether you want to be in the water at all, even if there's a lifeguard there. And I tell them, what do you do with a yellow light? And some of the kids say, speed up. I said, yellow light is caution, be careful. And I said, that's meeting conditions. And of course, green light, green means go. Green means the water conditions are fine. And as long as you are in front of the lifeguard and you are a competent swimmer and you've got everything in place to be safe, that's the time to be swimming there. Then I asked them what a purple light means, and the younger kids just look at me. There is no purple light. It's a trick question, but that's dangerous marine life. I'm not always, don't always like the way they phrase that. I think they're changing that to pesky marine life or something, because it's normally jellyfish and things like that, because when people read dangerous marine life, immediately they think shark, and things like that. So I think they need to better define that, but that's a state standard sign there. So all the agencies within the state, they want the same language, the same signage, so people, no matter where you go, you got the same information. What we are also doing, and again, this was something we initiated, and it was a joint venture with our lifeguards and junior lifeguards together, is we came up with this project called Project Save. And Project SAVE, we've got a grant from the Florida Swimming Pool Association to do this program. And basically it's an acronym for Safe Aquatics Video Education. What we did is we got the money, we bought a computer that's capable of editing video software. So we're doing videos of what to do if you're caught in a rip current. We took the 10 safety tips from United States Lightsaber Association. The kids are going to make a little video of each one. And when we do our presentations in the schools and on the social media websites, we can get this information out there. And I didn't spoken to Chief Downey about this too, and he said that with the 10 safety tips, our thought was, let's make one video with the 10 tips. And he said, no, you're better off take one tip for each video, make it a minute or less, and this way it's something they could put on as a quick public service announcement. And Vern Schenk from the radio station said if we do something like that, he'll put them on there and we can get the word out a little bit better. So it's something the kids are excited about. We've been wanting to do it, but the last 2 years, getting into our COVID mode, we just weren't able to do it. So that's one thing we're excited about, actually getting on with and getting that done this year. Where we're at right now in the month of February is we're trying to get a commitment for all our returning lifeguards to see what our needs are going to be. Our lifeguards now, we've basically got two different classifications. We've got the seasonal lifeguards that come on every season. We hire them on end of April, and they work 6 months. It's a seasonal position. Then in September, they're terminated, they're done. We've got about 6 lifeguards that are year-round part-time. And the reason we do that is for times like spring break, Christmas break, the times where we may need to put guards on the beach. We've got those guards available to come in and get on the beach. And those guards are also helping now to get everything prepped for the summer right now. We'll advertise by the end of the month for summer positions. Once we know how many we're looking for, it gives us a better chance of a better way of knowing what we need and how many guards we really need to try to recruit to bring in and get into our training class. And we'll take applications by the end of the month. As we roll into March, we're getting all our communication and other equipment ready to go, making sure that it's ready. We realize that our equipment doesn't like to sit and be idle. Our ATVs, our jet skis, our radios with the batteries and stuff, you use them, they're fine. If you don't, we have issues with them. So we want to make sure we get those things early up, refurbished if necessary, and we get them up and running. Our ATVs, we had the choice. We could either drain the gas out and just keep them, put them in a bed for the winter and then take them up the next year, but we wanted to have them always ready to go, so if we had an emergency during the winter, it's accessible and we can get them down ready to go. March 12th through the 20th is spring break for Flagler County schools, and it's an early spring break this year. We're always prepared. If we need to put guards on the beach, we'll put guards on the beach. Spring break is hit or miss, especially when it falls in the middle of March. It could be 70 degrees, warm weather, warm water, rough surf conditions, and if that's the case, we're ready to go and put a small crew of lifeguards on the beach. If it's like it is now, we don't need to do that. As we roll into April, we start doing our lifeguard swim testing, and the Belterre Swim and Racket Club in Palm Coast has been absolutely terrific in their support for us to do lifeguard testing. The first initial test for a lifeguard recruit is a lifeguard has to swim 500 meters under 10 minutes time, which is a tough swim, and we're always amazed when we get back to people underestimate or overestimating their abilities. We've got people that come in that tell us how great they are, and yeah, I'm a great swimmer, I'll rip through this, and they make 2 or 3 laps, and it's a good thing. That's why we do it in the pool and not the ocean, so they don't get out beyond the pier and realize, oh, maybe I'm not that good of a swimmer. But I really do appreciate their support for letting us in there. They don't charge us, but they support us, so we've got the opportunity to bring the guards there to do the water testing. And once we've got our future applicants tested, we can get them into our recruit training class, which will begin the end of the month, the 23rd. May is crunch time for us. We've got a really small window to get our lifeguards hired. We can't start training them to the end of April because we have to wait for any of the college students that are summer lifeguards to be back from their respective colleges. And we can't do the training during the weekdays because our high school age lifeguards are still in school during the day. So we got about 5 weekends that we need to cram in all this training. So all through the month of May, we are going Saturday, Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, and a good 8-9 hours each day in our training. And it is pretty intense because we need to have full lifeguard coverage ready to go by the 28th, which is Memorial Day weekend. That 1 week of the 23rd to the 27th, I drive City Hall nuts because on Monday, I bring all these guards in here. These people need to be ready to go by the 28th, and they need to get all their paperwork processed. They need to get their physical, their drug testing, their background check, and all that stuff has to come through and be processed before we're ready to put them up on the beach there. And so it is kind of a crazy month for us. But then hopefully by the 28th, that's one of our 3 big weekends on the beach is Memorial Day weekend. We want to be ready to go. Our junior lifeguard program, it's probably the one thing that's the most fun and we're most proud of is we get the kids on the beach. And our junior lifeguard program, we coincide with the school district calendar. When the kids get out for the summer, we start the first week of junior lifeguard camp. And we go every week of the summer with the exception of 4th of July week. We take that week off because of everything else that's going on that week. It's a terrific program. Isabella Herrera will be our camp director this year, and she's been chomping at the bit because she took it over just before COVID hit. In the last 2 years, I said, Isabella, you need a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C, depending on what the status is with COVID and what the restrictions are. And so she's ready to go full both barrels with the program this year, and we're hoping by May that, the way we're heading, it's looking like it's going to be a good opportunity to be able to do a regular camp again, where we're not modifying all the activities, and she's excited about that.
And I have to commend Tom. This is a lot of extra effort, but he uses this as a feeder program later on to get more lifeguards. So it's genius how it's laid out. And I just felt like that he needed to show you the whole calendar to see how this comes together. I was amazed at how well planned and well timed everything is.
It's really been successful for us. I think almost half of our lifeguards we have now came up through the junior lifeguard program. And the really great thing about it is you spark the interest early, and we see who we want, and maybe more importantly, who we don't want when they come in, and we make sure we get the absolute best applicants there. And it's a whole lot of fun. A lot of the lifeguards, they all want to be a junior lifeguard counselor because for the first 3 hours of the day, it gets them off the tower and they get to play with kids for 3 hours and get paid for it. So they're loving it. So she gets the cream of the crop with the lifeguards there. But it's a great program. We're unique. One thing we do that no other program in the country that I've seen does is we take participants no matter what their skill level is in the water. Most or just about every other junior lifeguard camp, there's a swim test you need to take to get in there because you're doing deep water skills in the ocean. And I see them testing down in Volusia all the time, and these kids get in and they go through the testing process, and sometimes there's 2 kids in the same family. One does the test, one can't make it. So you got tears here, and the other one is all happy about making the camp. But we looked at that, and the kids that probably need the camp the most are the ones that maybe don't have the swimming skills and the ability to get in. So we divided the camp up, and we've got what's our traditional junior lifeguard camp, and then we've got another camp called the beach camp. And the beach camp, you can be a non-swimmer and go in the beach camp. And so a lot of those pre-safety activities on the beach, they don't go in the deep water and do the surfing and things like that, but it turns out the beach camp, we got more numbers than in our regular junior lifeguard camp. And we're hoping that they look over and see what the kids are doing in the junior lifeguard camp, and there's the motivation that, okay, if I can get to be a better swimmer, I can get to that camp and do those kind of things there. So the camps really complement each other. Talking about what we did about getting a better defined protected lifeguard area is we are going to go with 6 lifeguard towers, and 3 of them will be south of the pier, 3 of them will be north of the pier. So our lifeguard protected area is going to be in front of the boardwalk, and it makes it so simple that someone can come down to the beach. If I'm standing on the boardwalk, I'm looking at a protected lifeguard area. If there's no boardwalk there, I'm outside of the protected area. And again, we'll get the signage up there, we'll get the education that people know that this is where I need to go to swim in front of a lifeguard. Lifeguard daily schedules, we are actually in the towers from 9:45 in the morning to 5:15 in the evening. I have a little asterisk there after all guards return to main tower. During the summers, when the sun sets a little bit later, sometimes at 5:15, the beach is packed. There's still a lot of people there. So we'll actually go in 20-minute segments. If the beach there's still 100 people in the water in front of this tower, we'll keep the lifeguard up another 30 minutes, make a call then, another 30 minutes after that until it's safe that we can actually take the lifeguards down off the beach there. And normally the crowds are in closer to the pier, so sometimes we'll take the guards off the far towers and sort of close in that swimming area, but just make sure if there are people in the water where they're watching them. And we always finish up the day with the daily debriefing with the lifeguards. What did you do today? What went well? What didn't go well? If there is ever a rescue, we talk about the rescue, how it went, what we did well, what we could improve on. Another thing that we're doing is we want to better define the surfing fishing area. Now, this is nothing new. We had that ongoing battle between the surfers and the fishermen, and early this year we had punches thrown, and both sides are passionate about what they do. The ordinance reads that all swimmers and surfers must stay within 100 or 150 feet away from the pier on both sides, north side and south side. We put up these marker poles. I'm thinking probably they've been up at least 10 years. But the way they work is if you look at the first 2, starting from the upper left, those are the 2 marking poles on the south side of the pier. And then the third one on the top, all the way on the right, is the north side of the pier. Then I went down on the beach, and the 3 on the bottom of the north side. So basically, the picture on the lower left, if I'm in the water on my surfboard, and I see those 2 towers lined up that I can't see that back one, I'm right at that 150-foot line. The second one in the middle, I walked over a little bit away from the pier, so I've got that safety zone there, so I'm more than 150 feet away because I can see that back pole to the right. And if I get that view of the last one in the lower right-hand corner, where that back pole is to the left of the front pole, then I'm within the 150-foot mark there. So it just makes it clear. We've got plans to repaint them a little bit, maybe a brighter color so they're more visible. And we're looking into maybe putting a buoy out at the end of the pier, 150 feet off the pier. So this way, not only do the surfers know I need to be on the other side there, but we've got some fishermen that are well capable of casting over 150 feet. And they know that now that you cannot be, even if you can, if you're going to cast that far, you go to the end of the pier, cast off the pier instead of north or south. So you're not casting into the swimming area. Because our biggest fear is mixing fish hooks with swimmers there. We just want to make sure that doesn't happen. And I try to keep it quick and sweet. If there are any questions, we can answer questions about the program, what we're doing. Yes?
Excuse me, Tom, hold on, protocol. We need to go to the commission first, and then we'll open to public questions and comment.
All right, Commissioner Phillips, you're first.
Thank you, Tom. I just have a couple of things. Rip currents, are they more active when it's high hazard versus low hazard? Or can they handle or they appear at any time?
They can appear at any time, and they're always out there to some degree. What the severity of rip current depends on how big the waves are. If the waves are big, there's more water volume going back through there.
Okay.
How deep your cut is in the sandbar, how high the tide comes up, how much, again, volume of water is pushing through it. So there's a whole lot of things that come into play with the rip currents. And they move. The bottom of the ocean is all constantly shifting and moving around, so we may have a really nasty rip current out here one day, the next day it's not there anymore.
Okay.
But there are certain spots where they tend to form more frequently than other spots.
Okay, thank you. And then also, obviously, education is key. Did you mention at the beginning of your presentation that you are not able to get into the schools just yet?
At this time, the last 2 years, I wasn't able to get into the schools because of COVID procedures. Now, we're hoping by May that things will open up enough that I can get back in and address the classes. And it's looking good right now that we can get in.
If it doesn't look good, are you able to do this Project Save, this video, and have them maybe do it during like an auditorium time when all the kids are?
Yeah, we'll still make the video.
Okay.
It's just, and we want to make several ones because I find that United States Lightsaber Association has a 12-minute rip current video. Explains all about the rip currents, but it gets kind of technical.
Right.
So we looked at it and we said, we can make a better one. And if the kids see that it's our lifeguards and our junior lifeguards in the video, it's Flagler Beach, it's familiar surroundings, it hits home a little bit more, and I think it gets the point across better.
Okay.
But we have to make one geared towards the younger elementary and then the older elementary, so we're making 3 videos all geared towards different age groups.
Oh,
but they're excited about the video thing. They really want to do it. So we're going to make the videos regardless. It's just may not have the opportunity this year to show them in the schools, but we'll get them on social media and we'll get them out there.
Yeah, let us know when they're out there so we can watch them. And then just lastly, my granddaughter had a blast at camp, and she talks about Isabella to this day. So she was so good to Mel. So she's definitely an asset.
Isabella's done a terrific job, and my whole staff in general has just been terrific. If I get a good, especially my leadership staff, things go so well on the beach. And it took a while to get there, but we've got a good nucleus, and we're building on that.
Good. Thank you for everything you do.
Okay, Commissioner Mealy.
Yeah, Tom, you kind of sort of answered my second question, so I'll start with that one. Do we have a lot of repeat lifeguards from year to year?
We do. A typical career for a lifeguard is 6 years because we can hire them at 16, so we'll get them junior, senior year of high school, then they'll normally work their first 4 years through their college years, and then they go on to something different after that. Occasionally we'll get someone who's a teacher or that has a schedule that fits down and meshes with a summer type seasonal position. But being that it's a seasonal position, that the physical requirements are so tough, most of what we're getting are high school and college students as our workforce.
I just remember people I taught with on Long Island worked the beaches in the summer, and some till they were pretty old.
And a lot of those guards said that their first job was lifeguarding and teaching was their side job. That's the way they looked at it. They just loved being out there on the beach.
Yeah, so my other question is, you mentioned that we have people that are kind of on call right now. That
we have 6 lifeguards that are year-round part-time employees. So when we need to call on them, if we have an emergency situation.
So if it got to be 80 degrees this week, dreaming, let's say it did, would you be able to call people in?
We could bring them in, and we got money in the budget, maybe about 7, 8 years ago when we had that situation where we did not have guards on spring break, and we had all the ingredients for the perfect storm. It was high 80s. We had a rough surf. The water was warm. The kids were out of school, and you throw a little alcohol into that mix, and it was a scary weekend because we didn't have guards. And I did get one of my guards volunteered, so it was 2 of us, and we made, I think, we pulled 13 people out of the water, and one actually submerged. And when I talked about peer pressure, that's what he said. He was not a good swimmer, but he said, my friends were going out to the sandbar. I didn't want to look like I couldn't do it, so I tried to go out with them.
I had that incident in mind when I wrote down my question.
Yeah, so it was good. So after that, the county and the city partnered together, and they each put in another $7,500. So we had $15,000 in the budget for contingency for those times.
Mayor Johnston?
Yes, I have a couple things. Is the junior lifeguard program, is it free? I remember briefly, maybe a couple years, there was a cost involved, or?
The junior lifeguard program, right now, it's $80 per session.
Okay.
A session is Monday through Friday from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock, 3 hours, 9:30 to 12:30, actually. We made a commitment that we will never not accept someone for inability to pay. So we have a financial aid program, and if we got parents that cannot afford to send their kids to camp, that's a non-issue there. We're fortunate. We just got a $1,000 donation commitment from the Rotary Club of Flagler Beach, and those kind of donations go to scholarship kids in if needed.
And $200 from the Women's Club.
And $200 from the Women's Club, which every year they've been a constant supporter, and we've been greatly appreciative of that. We try to, and basically the fee covers staffing.
Okay. Then also I wanted to ask, and this will fall on Chief, if we could do a post regarding the peer markers. I know that we have a lot of people that move here and they don't understand what those are. They just think they're football.
Yeah, we said, what's with the goalposts? And actually, the original design for the post was to put up what looked like football goalposts. And they wanted the crossbar to go east-west, so you have the 2 uprights where you can line them up. And somehow, whoever put them up got a little bit confused, thinking we wanted 2 sets of uprights there. So that's why you've got the 2 sets up there.
And then last, I just wanted to commend you on this program. I went through this program 30 years ago, and it has always been a success for Flagler Beach. It was something that I personally look forward to every summer, and it seems to be, with like Debbie's grandchild, it's still a success.
Honestly, it's the staff that did it. I give the camp director the creativity to make changes, and I said, if you've got an idea you think will work, let's try it, let's run with it. And every time we pass the torch over and someone else takes over, they put their own signature on it, and they add something and make a change there. And it seems like every time it's an improvement, and it just keeps getting better, and it doesn't get stale. When we get these kids that have been going since they were 8 years old every year, they come back this year and it's different. It's not the same thing. So it's really worked out well. And I've been really fortunate with the staff that's been doing the camp.
Thank you, it's appreciated.
Commissioner Bellheimer.
Well, Tom, you're the biggest part of that staff, so consistency is key, I would think, and people have grown to expect a nice program each year, and you make sure it's provided. So what color you got picked out for the goalposts?
We could do a lime green, or
that's what I'm thinking.
Just something.
Bright safety green.
Yeah, we were thinking that safety green, yellow.
Rick didn't get
real
the
high-end
fire
stuff.
truck, so now he's going to.
Something we wanted visible.
Yes.
We want visibility.
Commissioner Bryan?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, welcome. Couple call-outs that I had is, you mentioned the floating buoys, potentially one down by the end of the pier, and They have those, and I'm sure we're probably talking about the same thing. It would just be a fluorescent orange, inflatable, heavy-duty ball, basically. It's anchored to the floor, something like that.
Correct. And we're just trying to go through the permitting process.
Yeah, and I would even recommend not just one, but maybe even a couple along that line. And the pain point with the surfers and fishermen is, where's the line? When you're out in the water, it's hard to see. When you're up on the pier, you don't have the right angle to see it. No one is an expert, and it always happens the same way. A surfer gets too close, shame on them. A fisherman will cast in that direction, shame on them again, and now you have a confrontation, and it just gets repeated over and over. The buoys solve that, because you're able to, no matter where you are in the water, on the pier, anywhere, if you're a lifeguard, if you're working in the pier shop, you can watch that, and you will know right away if they casted past it, or if, a surfer's on the other side. So I highly recommend it. Another suggestion, and this has been brought up before, and I don't know if it's feasible or not, but to have a flag of some sort, probably a feather flag, that a couple of them that the lifeguards use in the guarded area to mark rip, and it would be dynamic. If they see it, they set it up. If the rip moves, then they move it, every couple hours. If it goes away, they take the feather flag down. But something you have right on the beach, because feather flags do very well on the beach, that just lets everybody know rip's right here, just as an aid, rather than, we can rely on education all we want, but we really gotta, the number one reason why we have serious pullouts with rips is folks just don't know. They don't understand how it works. They can't identify it. Just any type of cue, because our lifeguards see it, and our lifeguards know it's there. The public does not. They usually don't talk, and the lifeguards do prevents to keep them away. But if you stick a flag on the beach that says there's rip right here, they're going to tend to stay on either side, hopefully. Just as a suggestion.
Yeah, we've got signs, dangerous rip current signs, and we thought about putting them all along the beach. Our lieutenants on the beach who ride the four-wheelers, every day at least once, we'll have one go all the way to the north end of the city and one go all the way to the south end of the city, just to make sure there are no issues there. And we thought if there were any rip currents along the way, we can put signs up there. But then again, if we do that, are we defining that as a swimming area? So we weren't sure what route to go. We'll have to figure out, but we could definitely do that within the swimming area.
Yeah, feather flag, that dangerous rip or something, or any type of flag, just here it is. And it's dynamic, so it would have to move throughout the day.
And it may stimulate the education process too. People ask, well, why is it there? What does it look like? And it might help further the education a little bit.
Right. Just, a red flag to help. Any other questions or comments?
You brought up the buoys. How well is a buoy going to stay still out there in the ocean?
It's going to have to be a heavy-duty buoy, and there's going to be some drift to it, being that you've got the tide going in and out, the water level is constantly going up and down, so you need a little bit of slack. And then you've got a longshore current that goes parallel to the shore, so on some days it's going to be pulling it into the pier, other days out of the pier. Right. So that's why I thought, I don't know what it would take to drive a pole, or a piling, or whether we could do that.
Yeah, it's just a better guide. And again, the idea was we have the visual marker at the shore, but if we have one more guide, it may help. It's not going to solve all the problems, but it will help.
Mm. And when enforcing, we would take that into consideration. Okay, it might be drifting a few feet over today in this direction, and on the other side, it's going to be a few feet further away. So,
well, it'll give you good practice to take the jet skis out.
Yeah.
Well, make sure it's in the right place.
It makes people just aware. You start thinking about it that, okay, it's like a speed limit sign. If you don't see one on the road, you tend to just go whatever speed. But if you see that buoy there, okay, there's a place I need to be and a place I need not to be, and it reminds people.
And it's a good deterrent too. You're not going to surf in a manner that you're going to smack a rubber buoy. So that you gain a little bit of buffer there too, by just having that deterrent where they're not going to want to be near it anyways. To answer your question, a lot of municipalities, when they anchor those things, they're anchored. They're really tough. Some places, they're even hurricane proof. I doubt the Atlantic side would be that way, but they're tough because they're used to identify swimming areas and they're semi-permanent. Any other questions or comments? Okay. What I want to do is open this up. This will be standard public comment. So if you have questions, what I'd like you to do is to ask all your questions during your 3-minute period, and then allow after your comment the city to respond. That way we're not doing a back and forth. So any questions or comments related to this agenda item? Come on up. If you can, please state your name and address.
My name is Brenda Watherspoon, 1102 South Central, Flagler Beach.
Brenda, could you move the...
Hello, darling. Brenda Watherspoon, 1102 South Central. Thanks, Tom. Working with your group is a pleasure. Just quick question. On that first graphic, there were 80 plus rip current pullouts. Could you just kind of describe some of what surf pullouts are? And I'll sit. Thank you.
Yeah, normally surf just means regular rescue on the beach anyway. Rip current means you got that specific rip current conditioning happening at that one area, and that's why you made the rescue. Rip currents, the nature of a rip current is nobody should drown in a rip current, and that's what we try to educate is most people, they get in trouble because they panic. It's a scary thing because the rip current usually pulls out in a narrow area. And if you can just get to one side and swim out of that rip current, the water on each side of the rip current tends to be on the calm side. But when people start to panic, instinct tells them the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, and that's where safety is on the beach. So people, they'll put their face in the water and try to swim directly against the rip current. And then they'll take a few strokes, pick the head up, and find that they're further out. And that's when they start not only to panic, but then fatigue sets in and exhaustion, and you've got to get to them quickly. And the lifeguards will actually use the rip current to get to the victim. It's a free ride out there. They'll jump in the rip current, that'll bring them right out to the victim. Then once they make contact, they'll bring the victim to the side. That's why you saw in the picture, they were just on the side of that rip current, bringing the victim back in. But it's, again, education. If you can tread water, it's a common misconception that rip currents pull people underwater. Sometimes they'll get knocked over by a wave and you get that feeling that you're getting pulled under, but a rip current pulls people out to deeper water, but not underwater. So if you can just tread water and wait and wave to a lifeguard, help will be on the way there.
Okay. Any other members of the public have questions or comments? Again, Bruno, please state your name.
Bruno, 2740 South Ocean. Question is more towards the city manager. When we say we shrunk, did we shrink the lifeguards from an area? I mean, when we say boardwalk to boardwalk, was it like that last year?
Okay.
Or did we shrink it?
Just wait from the finish forward. So we got size of the area, and what other questions you got?
The question would be, if we shrunk it, what's the savings? Because I know we talk about this money issue with the lifeguards every year. So if we're shrinking it, we should be saving. And my last question would be really not even for Tom, but I guess it's going to be important. Do we have a safety program of the contractor that's going to be building this pier? Because these 150 is not going to change while the pier is being done with barges and cranes and all that good stuff. So how is that going to affect the 150? You know, is it 100 then? If you start going out more, 150, you're going to get even less swimming areas. Just something to think about. Thank you.
Okay. So city manager will take these one at a time. This year's upcoming size of beach coverage guarded area versus last year?
Yes, it will be tighter than it was in previous years. And we're just going to be basically giving up, 3 or 4 towers to the north and south?
Yeah, 2 towers to the north, basically.
Okay, 2 towers to the north, okay. So it helps save some resources. But again, it's a better situation for the city because it allows us to communicate where the guarded beach is. And that was part of the trade. And as far as the specifics on the savings, I'd have to get with Kathleen and run those numbers, but it was a good-sized saving that we're going to be plowing into other projects and programs.
And then the final question was about mitigation during pier construction, and I would assume that would include closing off entire blocks.
Yeah, at this point, we are just now in the process of hiring the engineer. Once the engineer is hired, then we have to go through, their first task is design. And we'll have public workshops all through that process to communicate with the public, okay, here's what the changes are going to be. I don't know what those changes are going to be right now because we haven't gone to design. But when we do, we'll have public workshops. And then, yes, the city commission may need to address the buffer zone, but I can't see it changing that much. It just depends on the design, and we haven't gotten to that point yet. And that's going to be mitigated by various factors like cost and, materials and all kinds of factors at this point that I really can't speak to. We'll hire the engineers, get them on board, get that process going, and then we'll keep the public informed.
Okay, thank you. Any other members of the public have any other questions or comments? If you can, please state your name and address.
James Sherman, 1916 South Flagler. Just one question. I know previously mentioned at one of the other meetings about the costs. Where's the county? Are they stepping in now to assist us with some of these funds? As you know, a lot of the people that are coming are from other parts of the county. Growing up in Volusia County, the county kind of handled our, assisted with a lot of, well, they did run our lifeguards down there, but just curious as far as where's the county, are they, I know that was mentioned before, are they going to help us fund some of the lifeguard initiatives this year?
Okay, thank you, James. City manager?
Yes, sir, that was a good question. We have an MOU, a memorandum of understanding with the county, and there is a percentage that they contribute towards the lifeguard program. What we see is, usually you negotiate these agreements and then there's life happens, right? And so a lot of times what we see here is that we negotiated that agreement years ago, and now the on-the-ground situation is shifting and changing faster and faster. And the mayor has been a very clear advocate of this. We've written a letter to the county asking for more money, but it's a process we have to go through, and that's why the beach count numbers are very important, because what is happening is that more and more of the burden, the financial burden of picking up the trash and guarding the beaches and handling all of the police matters and all the other issues that come with the beach, that cost burden is shifting to the local city. And we feel like that burden should be shared by the county and possibly even the state. So there are discussions ongoing right now about how to change that formula. But for right now, they're making a contribution, and the question remains, is that contribution adequate, and does it need to shift and change? And as the manager, I'm going to say that's an affirmative yes from me.
Question, City Manager. We have a window coming up where the county is going to be budgeting money, and that, I believe, is in spring?
Yes, and the letter already went to them. The mayor signed the letter last month. So we've already made the request, and the managers, i.e. the county and the various cities, get together every month. And so this will be something that as the managers get together and the budget process unfolds, we'll have continuing dialogue on.
I know this has been one of the largest opportunities that we've had as a city, is funding from the county for those type of things. All right, public comment. Any other members of the public have questions or comments? Again, please state your name and address.
Yes, John Horan, South 4th Street, and I just wanted to make mention about the county and what's going on. And I've been doing a fair bit of work over in Town Center over the last couple of years, and every single property that's in Town Center, the single family or multifamily, is presently under contract. And I just think it's really important for us to know what that's going to do with people coming to our beach. And I live on 4th Street. I see Tom almost every day. What a great job he does. But just in our planning process, there's no other single-family or multifamily projects left available there. And, you know, that's a 1,500-acre tract that's been developed. And so for us to be considering the lifeguard budget, what's going on, the shared expenses, I think we really need to be prepared for that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other members of the public have questions or comments on this agenda item? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. City Manager, did you have anything before we move on?
No, again, I thank you for the opportunity. I know it was a lengthy presentation, but I just wanted you and the public to understand what a tremendous staff we have, what a great job they do, and the scope and breadth of management issues associated with this beach is pretty significant, because this is only one aspect. There's also now the beach management plan that's being discussed. We're going to play a major role in that conversation. And so, you know, the issues never seem to end, but I'm loving it. I think it's great. I think we have a great team. And so I'm looking to you for leadership on this, and I think we're going to make even more progress. And last year when I came on board, we wrote the letter to the county and they said, oh, sorry, too late. Well, the mayor and I got together and we made sure that they got the letter on time this year.
You had it nice and early.
Oh, yeah. So we'll be having that discussion.
I don't want people to get their hopes up too high, though. If you read somewhere on, I don't know if it was Facebook, Flagler Live, wherever it was, the commission has told staff to try and lower the mill rate by a mill, or a tenth of a mill. I don't remember. So.
I hear you, but I view this whole discussion as a marathon, not a sprint.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not saying you shouldn't go after the money, and I'm glad we sent the letter early, but just don't forget that.
I hear you, and I get it, where everybody's trying to count their pennies and be fiscally responsible. We'll do the same as well. But at the end of the day, this burden of management of the beach and making sure that it's a clean, safe asset for the entire community doesn't fall strictly on the city. It should. Absolutely. We should have more partners.
Absolutely.
Last year at this time, they were told by us in no uncertain terms that the request was coming this year. So it's not like it's a surprise to them.
All right. Tom, thank you and your crew for everything you all do. All right, we'll move on to item 9.1, Resolution 2022-01. Drew?
Resolution 2022-01, a resolution of the City of Flagler Beach, Florida, relating to the State Revolving Fund Loan Program, making findings, authorizing the loan application, authorizing the loan agreement, establishing pledged revenues, designating authorized representatives, providing assurances, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date.
Mr. Chairman, you may recognize that you all have already passed this, but we were notified that there was certain language the state wanted to see, so that's why you see it again. And so we're like, absolutely, you're going to give us $12 million. We'll be glad to make it read the way you want it. So that's why you have it in front of you again.
So it's section 2 that's new.
Specifically, section 2 in the verbiage, including water, sewer, and sewer impact fees.
Well, it's exactly what I got circled right now. So why are we going to include water revenues to pay a loan back for the wastewater?
It's a combined program. How we budget that is our issue, but they're just looking at all available revenues.
So we're just pledging these revenues.
Correct.
It's the security. Where the money actually comes from that we use to pay it, that's internal budgeting, but that's the security.
Yeah.
Well.
And this is the recommended language from the state.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Correct.
the fact that the city manager is the one who designates what happens. That's new. That this whole section is new.
Yeah. And again, this is language from them, and as they're the bank, they're the ones that are loaning us the money. So we suggested that we follow the program.
Did that answer your question?
I guess so. I
The
just hope
section
that
is
we
not
don't.
new.
I just hope that we don't end up using drinking water revenue for paying the loans on the sewer plant.
Any other questions or comments? All right. We will open this up to the public. Any members of the public wish to speak to item 9.1, resolution 2022-01? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Look for a motion.
Motion to approve resolution 2022-01.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Penny, if you could roll call.
Yes. And just to, maybe if it eases your decision anymore, Commissioner Bill Humer, in the letter from December that Attorney Smith submitted as an exhibit to the same resolution, it also stated in there water and sewer impact revenues. And with that, Commissioner Bryan?
Yes.
Commissioner Bellhumer?
Yes.
Commissioner Mealy?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Chair Cooley?
Yes, motion passes unanimous. And that'll also be up for us to manage too. Money that gets moved around is all approved through us. All right. Item 9.2, city manager to sign a letter of intent on purchasing a piece of property. City manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have in front of you an action actually that just came about recently, where we've been in extended negotiations with a property owner for what I refer to as the donut hole at the golf course. It's the 2.94 acres that has traditionally been used as the driving range, but really at the end of the day, people have just used it for that. There's no right to go on the property and use it that way. And I feel that in the conversation that we've had on this, that basically the city needs to take advantage of what is basically an opportunity to make the golf course operation whole. There's been this kind of void in the property, and I won't go through the whole entire story, but let's just say that the option on this land has flipped a couple of times, and we've followed it closely and carefully, and now it's come back our way that if we move quickly, we have an opportunity to secure ownership of this land before it flips again. So basically, I'm coming to you asking you to authorize me to sign a letter of intent. And basically, that letter of intent would be our pledge to move forward with the contract. That contract would be vetted and reviewed by our legal team, by a title search. You know, we will do all our due diligence to make sure that there's ownership is established and everything is good and done in proper order. But it's just an amazing opportunity that we need to take advantage of, in my opinion. So I offer it to you as an opportunity. I offer it to you as something I think that we should move quickly on. One of the first questions I know that you're going to ask is, well, where's the money coming from? And, you know, we're blessed as we sit here tonight because the city has cash reserves. So it could come from cash reserves that we have adequate supply of. And then we also have a second option out there in that there's a specific land reserve from previous sales, and the balance in that land sale reserve is $485,502. So you could take it out of general reserves or take it out of the land reserve or a combination, whatever you so direct. That conversation can come back later in terms of the specifics. But at the end of the day, what I'm seeking tonight is authorization to sign the letter of intent so we can proceed forward with our due diligence and close on this piece of land that's valuable, I think, in terms of a recreational asset for our community.
Okay, Commissioner Mealy.
I think this is a wonderful idea. That 2.94 acres has given us so much heartburn over the years.
Sure has.
This is a way of solving the heartburn. Somebody buys a property, wants to put way too much on it for the way the land is configured. It becomes a stormwater issue. It becomes a water issue. It becomes a problem for the people in Ocean Palm. We go to court, it costs us money, and they leave, and another person comes in, and we start the whole thing all over again. So this way, I think we would actually make money in the long run by not having to go to court every so often. Excuse me. So I think this is a wonderful idea. It is our, except for the small parks we have scattered around the city, it is our only recreation area. Whoever 100 years ago created that as residential, I have no idea what they were thinking. It just doesn't make sense. So I really think this is a wonderful idea. I think this is a wonderful price. Thank you, Mr. Haran. I know there's more negotiating that you'll be doing, but I'm in favor of it. And I would think it would come out of those land reserves rather than the general reserves, which I'm always hesitant to touch. And we have adequate amount in there. So, okay.
Commissioner Phillips.
I just have a couple questions. I just want to ensure that there's no other part of this golf course that we will not own.
No.
Not to my knowledge, Commissioner.
Nothing's going to pop up.
But to Commissioner Mealy's point, I've been here since May 1st. I have entertained in my office no less than 3 conversations on what to do with this 2.94 acres.
Right.
And I've got more phone calls coming. It's just an endless parade of things. And when we got the opportunity to maybe present this to you, I was like, well, let's see what the commission wants to do, because I am tired of having those conversations. It's very confusing.
Okay, and so I don't know if this is the right terminology. If we go forward with this purchase, it'll be one parcel.
It would still be 2 parcels.
But we would control all.
Yeah, we would control all of it. It would still, the legal boundaries of the parcels would be the same. The easement would disappear. The access easement would actually disappear, because once we unified the title, that easement would go away. I'm trying to think if it'd be a replat or what we could do. Yes, we could eventually turn that into one parcel, but more than likely what would happen is we would just be combined for legal descriptions if there's ever a transaction in the future. Just be together with language that you'd use in a deed, but it'd still be legally 2 parcels.
Okay, perfect. I am definitely for this, and I agree with Commissioner Mealy that it should come out out of the land reserve, but we can discuss that later.
Commissioner Bryan.
Yes, I'm in favor of this as well. I think at one time, it's my understanding that the city may have had an opportunity to purchase this, and that was at least what I was told, and they didn't do it. So I think that it's about time to do it. I'm also looking forward to moving down the road where we can possibly use this entire parcel along with the other as an investment, because this is an investment that we should be looking at. And as I addressed last commission meeting, we have a fiduciary responsibility to that property down there to make it a win-win. So I'm all in favor of it. If we can use the land funds to do it, or a combination of, I think we should look at them both ways, along with our finance director, to determine the best way to do it. Because we do have other obligations we're looking at down the road, particularly when we start looking at possibility of purchasing property for parking. So I don't want to exhaust everything that we have And just here again, I'm not against it, but I'd like to look at the options just to make sure that we're covering our bases and we're not, jumping off the ledge too fast here. But I'm definitely in favor of it. And I commend the city manager for moving forward on this, as well as Mr. Smith. I'm sure the two of you got your heads together in order to put this together. So thank you very much. That's all I have.
Mayor Johnston.
I only have one standout. It's a 30-day due diligence period. I just know the way that the market is right now. Are we confident that that's enough time? Maybe add another just 10 in there. I just got quoted 30 days out for a survey.
That'd be a John question. I think there is 15 days allowance for, some issues to follow through, but I think we're in pretty good shape. We feel like we can do it.
Can I answer that question? I would just say that I don't know whether we'll be able to get that additional due diligence. I know that there's other buyers looking at the track, and I would really just defer to Drew, because really it's a unity of title issue, it's a land issue, it's really not essentially an inspection issue on it. So what I was given was the man that controls the property, the terms that he would accept. Okay. So.
From a title search standpoint, 30 days is plenty of time.
I was thinking the survey.
Okay, Commissioner Bellinger.
I just wonder what we're going to do with it. I mean, it's just sitting there doing nothing now. Somebody's got to take care of it, maintain it. I guess the golf course people are cutting that grass now, so if we were to get it, I would think that would be on us. I just wonder what that does for everybody, the everyday taxpayer. How does it help them? That's a lot of money. The last transaction on that in the property appraiser's office was $49,000 in 2019. So now we're 10 times that amount.
That's when we should have bought it.
It had several $100,000 of legal fees attached and bad taxes as well.
That was a tax deed sale, so that's the.
I don't know. I'm a little skeptical. I just don't know what the real use is for it. I mean, all the water retention that we created down there is all on the other property. It's just a piece of. We can't park beach people down there, so it ain't going to help that. It's $500,000 nearly. When I first requested or talked to the other commissioners about putting that money aside for future purchases, I was thinking more like Ken was saying, or Commissioner.
You call me anything.
Okay. That money be used more for parking. I think that's a more critical issue at this point in time. And I probably won't be voting for it.
Okay.
Got a question in regard to his comments.
Okay, Commissioner O'Brien.
Yeah, just for clarification, one of the things I just mentioned was, looking at it as an investment, and the fact that it is, I guess it's now being used as a driving range or part of it. I'm not an avid golfer, but I play golf. Not very well, but I play. And I do go out on the ranges and we use the range. So looking down the road, if that is a property that is legally the city's, is that not a piece of property that we could, once we get a company in there that knows what the heck they're doing and can turn it into something that's good, it could be a nice, decent driving range. Is that not correct? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's what I said investment, because if when I look at what I spend on a driving range and what most people would spend on a driving range, that once we have a good facility there, I look at it as a long-term investment where we could get some payback on it. So that's why I'm just trying to add some, I guess, some other ideas here as to it not being a total waste of property that we purchase and it just sits there to mow the lawn, that it is an investment that we can invest in and use as a revenue. So is that, I guess I'm looking for guidance here. Is that something we could look down the road to do?
Absolutely, that's how I view it.
Okay.
Okay, comments I have. This property has been a thorn in the city's side for years and years, as long as I've been attending meetings, even as a member of the public. Just based on square footage pricing, this is a no-brainer purchase to me. We're getting almost 3 acres for less than $500,000. We have the money to do it based off of properties that we've already sold. I know that money was originally talked about being looked at for parking lots, but then it could be argued that parking lots don't make any money either. So we have a potential asset to make our entire golf course operation whole and not have the center of it gutted out by who knows what going there, and having their driveway go right through the parking lot to the golf course. It's a ridiculous layout. So we can get our property, because it is our golf course property, whole, and make the best use of it. Potential uses for that piece of property that can make the city money is put green line there.
Oh, when it leaves that goes.
We would gladly take it right in the middle of the golf course. But I'm all for this. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I'd just like to say the argument that how does it help the regular taxpayer? I think that's the same argument that's being used in other places. You know, people don't want to pay school taxes because they don't have kids. I don't fish and I don't play golf. So we should close down the pier and close the golf course because I'm not getting anything out of it. I don't buy that argument. We live in a community where we should be helping each other and everybody. If people want to play golf, why not have them play golf here instead of going to Grand Reserve or wherever that doesn't make any money for
Quality
us.
of life issue.
Yeah. It's a community and you're supposed to do things for the people in the community. So I'm willing to pay for a golf course I will never use. I might go to the restaurant, especially if we move the Green Lion there. And I think we should, whatever it's going to cost us to do the pier, even though I don't fish. So anyway, that's it.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
No.
All right, we'll open us up to the public. Any members of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? Again, please
Bruno,
state-
2740 South. Question, so this golf management team is using that facility and making money off that piece of land?
Oh, hold on, let him finish his comments.
That's my question, that's one of them, I mean, because...
Well, if you have more, just go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. And
Yeah,
the second thing is, yes, it would be great to have a golf course, but since you don't play, there's no reason why you would want to play there. For the same amount of money, you can go to Palm Coast and play on a really good course. That driving range is not even a driving range. It is just sand with no mats, no tees, no nothing. You actually ruin your clubs by going to the driving range. So you have to think about you buying this piece of land, but down the road, what are we going to do with it? We got to get a proper management company
We
to
know
turn
that.
this in.
Yeah, we're well
Because,
aware of that.
you know, we're still talking about the books for the last 2 years. He's got books. My question would be, what do the books say about the driving range? I think he gets $5 a bucket. And believe it or not, I think the driving range draws in more people than the actual golf course. When I play golf there, there's a good, say, 4 per hour hitting balls. So that would be my questions.
Okay, city manager.
I'll take it.
Yeah, I'm deferring to the city attorney because of the legal situation we're in with the lease.
And we have sent a default letter to the lessee, and that was one of the items in the lease letter, that they are not allowed to use property that's beyond the boundaries of what the lease contemplates. And at that, I would actually encourage everybody, I will do it myself and encourage, that's not the item we're here on tonight. We'll save that for when we are here on that item. But yes, that was part of the default letter sent to the lessee.
Drew gave that reminder for me, probably. Any other members of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? Scott, if you can, please state your name and address.
Scott W. Spradley, 607 Yorkshire Drive. I think it would be a wise investment for the city. Real estate is scarce, and when you're looking at value, you have to look, in my view, not only at the income that could be produced, but the savings and what not purchasing it, the cost. It's been mentioned before about the legal fees and all the other trouble. You're putting an end to that. And so I think there's both ways to look at value. And I'm a golfer. I hit balls over there. I like it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other members of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? Come on up, Arm Candy. Please state your real name and your address.
Edward Wallace, 211 Ocean Palm Drive. I just have a quick question. If there was anything other than real estate or a big building being put in the middle of the golf course that obstruct everybody's view, and if a driving range would be put there, is there anything that would be an idea to, be that would be an acceptable thing to put there? And that's it.
City manager, outside of Green Line, anything to put there?
Well, I'm kind of partial to the Green Line, but no, at this point, it's more about the process. I've been doing this a long time. I've been city management for close to 30 years or more. And one of the first lessons I learned was if you don't control the dirt, you don't control the deal. And so this is step number one. There are other options down the road for creative development teams. And let's just say that it doesn't make money as a driving range. Well, if you control the property, then you can entertain proposals for what would be a better use. And I'm not going to sit here and try to make up things out of thin air. We would open that opportunity up for people who can show you how to make funds. And, we're on a 6-mile barrier island. God isn't making any more barrier island. In fact, he's trying his best to take what we have through sea level rise and erosion. So as far as an investment, this is a critical move, in my opinion. And I've had no less than 3 or 4 development groups come in and sit in front of me and pitch this idea and that idea and the other idea. And at the end of the day, it was frustrating because we don't control the property. But if we move forward tonight and we change that, then let's just see what the future holds, because there are different options that open up.
Commissioner Mealy.
Yeah, I'd like to add, maybe this make it clearer too, that the golf course that we now define the golf course is zoned recreation. So houses can't be built on it. That 2.94 acres, for whatever reason, is zoned residential. So if a developer of residences buys that property, the only control we have over it is the 3-story, the 30-foot, 5-foot height restriction. So, and we had a stormwater issue and other things like that, but if it stays the way it is, it will stay zoned residential. And so we have little control over what can be built on it. If we buy that property and we make that residential piece recreational, and we allow a driving range and the driving range doesn't work out, it could be a skating rink, it could be a bowling alley, I don't know, it could be anything that's recreation. And I think that's more like we would like to see, instead of a big building on that property. Does
right.
that clarify?
And the frustrating part about the whole thing is the stormwater management system for the golf course is integrated.
That's right.
Right into this property.
That's why I keep saying stormwater.
It just kind of keeps, as the chairman said, to be a continual problem. If we control the property, then we can, master plan something if, say, it doesn't work out as a driving range.
Any other comments? Okay, we're still under public comment. Any other members of the public wish to speak on this agenda item that have not talked? All right, we'll close public comment and look for a motion.
I'll make a motion to authorize the city manager to sign a letter of intent and direction to proceed with the purchase of the 2.9 acre driving range property.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Penny, if you could roll call. Did you have a comment?
I did.
Okay, go
ahead. To the city manager's point, property ain't getting any cheaper and they're not making any more of it. So, I'm kind of in agreement that it's the last piece of the puzzle, and somewhere down the road it can be utilized to be a revenue maker of some sort. It does not need to be bought and sit there not used. For one thing, we're taking it off the tax rolls, so if there aren't however many residential properties there, then you got to try and break that barrier with some sort of revenue. As long as the golf course that exists now, golf course company, whatever, we wouldn't be able to, we would have to create a bridge and everything else to get to the thing until we could get one lease person as opposed to two. So it'd be hard to create something at this point that might be a revenue maker. But down the road with some vision, I guess it very well could be. So just wanted to state that.
Okay, anyone else final comments? Commissioner Bryan.
The only reason that I'm agreeing to this is that I'm looking to it as an investment and an opportunity for us to, in fact, do something with it. I have no intentions whatsoever to vote on this under the impression that it's going to just sit there. So I think that we're all probably on the same page, that this isn't going to be an investment, and somewhere down the line we can look at it as such in order to be a revenue generator or at least break even to some degree.
Anybody else? Okay, Penny.
Who was the second? I'm sorry.
I was.
Thank you. Commissioner Mealy?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Commissioner Bryan?
Yes.
Commissioner Bellhumor?
Yes.
Chair Cooley?
Yes, the motion passes unanimous. All right.
So can I ask another question? What's the process from here as far as making this all happen?
The letter of intent, we're really, and John's been having the conversation, so John, I'm not exactly sure where you are in the negotiations, but as I see it, the letter of intent allows those negotiations to move forward to the purchase and sale contract with that, because there's no direction for the city manager to sign the purchase and sale contract tonight. And that's your expectation too. That's what you were expecting to come out of tonight?
Correct.
Okay, so then we have the purchase and sale contract. Would we have time to bring that back before the commission, or is this going to move faster than that? Yes, you would?
Yes,
So
we
then
can
you
bring it
would
back.
see, you have the draft purchase and sale agreement, but before that's signed, you would have that come back to you for final approval of a purchase and sale contract. And during that same period, the due diligence would be moving forward, and you would also ultimately see the final approval before it closed.
And the expectation that would be next meeting, obviously, based
It'd
on.
be prior to March 10th.
Okay.
So is there any way we can get a commitment from this interim owner that they won't sell it out from under us?
That's the letter of intent.
Well, the letter of intent
it's kind of
moves the negotiations forward, but the letter of intent is our intent and keeps them at the table, as I understand it. But the purchase and sale agreement would be the one that really puts the, ties them down to the deal.
Can John say something?
Come on up, John.
I think I should. It is that,
What Rick just has said is just so very true, is that, most certainly you do a letter of intent, it gets the process moving. Most certainly wanted the council to be able to approve a contract. But one of the things about a due diligence period is it does afford you the opportunity to secure the property. My suggestion is to look at the letter of intent, but to go ahead and go to contract. And the reason why I say that is that the property is actively being shown and presented. There's another group coming in right now for this property. My counsel is that you've got the complete right in the due diligence period to get out of the deal. And so, most certainly Sue knows that as well. I don't know, just to mention about the survey, whether the survey is really that important of an issue, because the whole golf course surrounds it. So I think you're probably in pretty good shape there. But the reason I think what we should really do, my counsel, is get the letter of intent out right away, but then to authorize that we could go to contract in the same week. And by the end of the week, or a short period of time, because the property is being actively shown and attempted to be sold. I had another party come to me, ask me about the property. I know another party has spoken to Mr. Torino. So my viewpoint is, again, if we go to contract in the due diligence period, at any time you can walk from the deal. And it's always advisable to get the property off the market. So the purpose of the letter of intent is to get all the parties on the same page, and my counsel would be to go ahead and try to get a contract within the week, and then everybody can continue to talk about it and walk from the deal.
Okay, all right. Thank you, John. Yep. Drew, legal hurdles as far as following the process.
You just need to make a motion to giving the city manager that authorization to sign purchase and sale agreement in material or materially similar to what you have in front of you in your agenda packet.
Do we need to do something with the original motion, or is this going?
No, you just make a subsequent motion, because the first motion was to authorize him to send a letter of intent. If you want to give him the authorization to sign a purchase and sale agreement, then you need to give him that authorization.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
I think that's very important.
Okay.
Time is of the essence if you're going to try and make this happen.
All right, well, we have a motion in a second. Let me open this step up to public comment. Any members of the public wish to speak on this step? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. And Penny, any final comments from the body before roll call?
Can I just have one question? This is going to go back to John and the body. February 15th, should we even tighten up that date? If you have other parties coming and looking at the property, I mean, we're putting a cash offer on the table.
24 hours.
I think February 15th will do it. I know that I have an appointment on my schedule for February 17th. So, and I don't know, that may not be the only one that's out there, but I would think that would be fast enough, and we need time to do some due diligence. So,
yeah, would this body be okay with city manager and Drew and John all putting that together? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes.
Rather than get real deep in the weeds. Did that answer your question, Mayor?
I can assure you I'm not going to sign anything until Drew and John tell me it's good.
Well, I was just thinking, make their time of acceptance shorter. Get it ready, have just 48 hours on it. Money's moving fast in this county and in this city, and there is cash flying. And my thought is tighten up that window. Don't let another opportunity to come to that seller.
So that would be a good consideration.
I was gonna say, could we just give the city manager and city attorney the flexibility to just move on this when they think it's prudent, once they've done their due diligence, which it could be 48 hours, 10 days, or whatever?
Well, I mean, as far as sending the offer, you can do that immediately with the authorization. There's no interest in waiting.
Okay.
As for changing the drop dead date in the agreement, though, that it could motivate to go for the seller to sign. It could have the reverse effect, because the impact of not signing by the drop dead date is the purchase and sale agreement is off the table. And so if we were to shorten it to February 11th, tomorrow, which would be really the one of 2 business days between now and the 15th, that could just motivate the seller to say, I'm not signing it, it's not enough time, and then we're back here in front of you again, and actually could delay the process.
That doesn't need to be a business day, does it?
I was just saying, I was just counting days, but no, it does not have to be a business day. I was just counting business days in my head because that's when everybody is sitting by their phones.
John, you got the commitment that that day will work?
Yes, I do. And the seller is represented by counsel, and he wanted to make sure that he spoke with Drew as well. So I think the dates are going to be good, and for sure. Now we might be able to move it up a day, or at least to go ahead and get it to him. But he did tell me he liked the idea that the LOI would be in his possession on Monday, and subsequently a contract would come shortly thereafter.
That's good.
Okay. So my motion is to make the three of you guys make it happen.
That's real efficient.
That motion includes authorization for the city manager to sign the purchase and sale agreement.
Correct.
All right, any other final comments?
You already had a motion on the table.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was
The
similar.
same thing.
Yep. And we had a motion and a second, so Penny, if you could roll call.
Commissioner Phillips.
Yes.
Commissioner Bryan.
Yes.
Commissioner Belhumer.
Yes.
Commissioner Mealy.
Yes.
Chair Cooley.
Yes, the motion passes unanimous. All right, item 10, ordinance 2022-01.
Ordinance 2022-01, an ordinance of the City of Flagler Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 14 of the Code of Ordinances, prohibiting the intentional release of lighter-than-air gas-filled balloons, providing for penalties, providing for codification, providing for conflicts, and providing an effective date. This is before you on second reading, and it does include the revisions that were discussed at first reading, including the inclusion of lighter-than-air lanterns.
Any other questions or comments? Anything new?
Make a motion we approve.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. I'll open this up, public comment. And also, while we're on public comment, I also want to point out Lauren, who was the original person who lobbied for this. And Lauren has been doing environmental things for a very long time. And well, I'll let you introduce yourself and just kind of tell us a little bit about what you're doing and in the surrounding areas, because I believe you're behind St. John's getting it done too, right?
Yes, yeah. Do I need to do my name and
Yep.
address? Okay, so Lauren Trice, 3209 Turtle Creek Road. I work for Matanzas Riverkeeper. We're a local nonprofit. We cover the Matanzas River and all of its watershed, and our mission is to protect and advocate for it. One of our programs, it's called the Litter Getter Program. We take volunteers out on the Matanzas River and do waterway cleanups. Balloons are a common find on these cleanups. They're litter. They're a danger to animals. They are ingested and they kill animals. The strings strangle animals. So we have been advocating to ban the intentional release of them.
All right.
It's a great letter that you wrote.
Thank you.
And y'all are very familiar with the Litter Getter. The Litter Getter's been here in Flagler Beach a couple times, and I specifically remember being on the Litter Getter on the Intercoastal and pulling out balloon remains and the ribbon that is attached to it.
Yeah, the balloons pop and they look like jellyfish. So turtles eat them, and then the other balloons, the Mylar balloons, have the ribbons, and I've had to pull them out of the ground, and they're covered in mud. They're a nuisance.
All right, well, thank you for that idea.
Thank you.
Any other members of the public wish to speak on ordinance 2022-0? What are we on? 01. All right. All right. If you can, please state your name and address.
Okay. My name is Nicole Crosby. I live at 1169 Neck Road. I'm also here from St. Johns County. I'm chair of the St. Johns Soil and Water Conservation District. I'm also a co-founder of NEST, which is an acronym for Never Endangered Sea Turtles. So yes, we're really excited that a month ago, St. Johns County became the first county in the state actually to pass a balloon release ban, including sky lanterns. And there have been other municipalities that have passed them: Atlantic Beach, Neptune Beach, Fernandina Beach. St. Augustine Beach actually used our ordinance, and St. Augustine. So for you all, I just want to thank you and commend you so much. I know you've already voted on it on the first reading, and I know I don't have to tell you why you need to vote on it again. I'm sure you're well versed on the dangers to sea turtles. It's the #1 cause of death 2 seabirds of all marine debris. Number 3 cause of mortality to sea turtles. And of course, we have 4 species of sea turtles on our coast. We share our coast with you, obviously. 3 of them endangered, 1 of them critically endangered. So we really, people sometimes say, well, gosh, there aren't that many balloons out there. Well, it's true. The volume of balloons compared to other trash might not be quite as high, but the lethality of it is very high. Once a turtle gets a hold of one of these balloons, either by entanglement or suffocation or obstruction, they die. I know that you're a beach community, but also they're dangerous to terrestrial animals. So if they float the other way and they make it to farms, they kill livestock too, or they get sucked into hay balers. And then it's really devastating because then there are pieces of it and livestock eat it. And then there's nothing the farmers can do at that stage. So what I'm going to do is I'm just in the minute and a half I have, or minute, I'm just going to show you some of what your ordinance is going to be helping with. There are 2 kinds of balloons, basically. These are the so-called biodegradable. Could take up to 4 years to biodegrade. The current state statute says you can release an unlimited number of these with no string attached. Well, look how people release them. They all have strings. So between the ingesting of the latex and the entanglement of the string, they're really dangerous. And then another thing that happens, they can reach an altitude of 30,000 feet, at which point they explode into this configuration that resembles a jellyfish. It's like literally like a lure for a jellyfish. It's that bad. And then you're all familiar, of course, with Mylar balloons, which are just plastic, basically. And they're coated with metallic coating. And we're kind of most familiar with these because they're so ugly and we see them everywhere. But these things are equally bad, which are allowed currently in unlimited numbers. These are allowed 9 per day. Okay, but thank you so much.
Thank you. That second cardboard that you held up, those look exactly like jellyfish.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I made a video of one in the water. It really is.
Hold up. Oh, we can do it in your seat. Okay, good to see. I just don't
Chase her down, city manager.
Penny's got to get pictures of it or confiscate it.
Yep.
Because it was used as a presentation.
Next time I'm on my boat and I see some, I'll take some pictures out there as well.
Yes, please. Yeah, if you could.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That would be great to see. After you pick them up.
After you get your new boat next month.
I'll get my fish first.
Just in full disclosure, I post the photos that I take on LinkedIn, Facebook, those kinds of social media things. I don't know if I need to get a release form, but it was a public meeting, so.
All right, any other members of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comment. We have a motion and a second. Penny, if you could roll call.
You didn't mean
Commissioner
right.
Bryan?
Yes.
No, Debbie?
You did.
Okay. Commissioner Bryan?
Yes.
Commissioner Bellhumer?
Yes.
Commissioner Mealy?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Chair Cooley?
Yes, the motion. Motion passes unanimous.
Thank goodness.
Thank you very much.
That one is done. All right, item 11, ordinance 2022-03. Drew?
Ordinance number 2022-03, an ordinance by the City Commission of the City of Flagler Beach, Florida, amending Appendix A, Land Development Regulations, Article 2, Zoning, amending Section 2.02.00, Definitions, amending Section 2.06.06, Multifamily and Motel Structures, amending and establishing distinctive architectural and site design standards and principles, providing for inclusion in the Code of Ordinances, providing for conflict, providing an effective date hereof. Again, this is back before you on second reading. Since you saw it on first reading, it did go to PAR Board, received a recommendation for approval from PAR Board, and I believe the version in front of you also has revisions that were incorporated by Mr. Trino, your planner, in response to comments made herein at PAR Board.
Okay, comments or questions?
I haven't had time to compare. I read the last version that we got yesterday or the day before, and I haven't had time to look at revisions that were made.
I think it was only if it was the difference between yesterday's and today's, it was just a numbering issue. There was no substantive change.
Well, I don't know, Larry, can you come up?
was formatting. Lee
Yeah,
Richards pointed
my
out that it was
questions are not
formatting.
about formatting.
Well, that was the change.
Good evening, Larry. Good to see you again.
Good to be here as always.
Okay, question for Larry.
Yeah. Okay, I see you redefined hotel and motel a little bit. I'm expecting you to be over there. You put purpose and intent back in. You added the CRA to building design, where
Correct.
that was good. You added the awnings and canopies back in. I don't know if you re-lettered the things after that. I haven't had time to look for that.
No, all your comments were addressed prior to the ordinance going back or going to the planning board. The only changes that were made since then is the city clerk distributed to other staff, and it was called to my attention that there were two scriveners. One actually on the first page, motel, motor lodge. If you look at A through I, there were two Ds, two letter Ds, so I changed the second letter D to an E. And I believe it's on line 180, but the section that is references fenestration, it actually was encroached, and that was corrected.
Yeah, I saw that one.
And that was it.
All right, comparing the one we got the other day to the last one, there was a section, dwelling units located at below grade or within 5 feet of grade shall have a minimum of 96 square feet. And that seemed to have gotten deleted. That's what I wrote down. It's confusing to keep comparing all these.
What is there a line there?
I have version 3. I don't know when we got this. Had on page line 330, which on the one that was up here on the day is not line 330 at all.
Line 330 on my copy is C1.
Yeah, this is under private open space.
Okay. Section C1.
Wherever private open space is.
On the copy I have here, it's line 332. That section wasn't changed.
364 in my agenda draft.
I think the reason why the numbers are changed on the lines is because the ordinance itself became the first page, and that affected the rest of the line numbers in the actual document itself.
Private open space, okay.
Yeah, I think you started the numbering at a different point.
It is on line 364 now, okay, thank you.
Is it the same as the section we're looking for, though?
Okay, usable. Okay, the definition is good. So then it's,
That's the section and it was reformatted.
but it's more than reformatting, because in the original, well, the one that not the original, the third original, it's number 1 read, dwelling units located at or below finished grade or within 500 feet of finished grade shall have a minimum of 96 square feet of private open space with no dimensions less than 6 feet. Now number 1 says, all upper floors shall have balconies or porches measuring at least 36 feet. So you kind of condensed that?
I can't explain what happened there, quite frankly.
And then number 2, there is the other number 2 is now number 1. So there were 5 things under private open space before, now there are
Okay.
4.
Commissioner, maybe you have your version 3 draft. It might be helpful to show Mr. Torino that, and then he can see the language for himself and make sure that it was an intentional omission.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't even go there, so I don't know what
Or
happened.
do you want to come up and see what,
Sure.
and take a look at what she's.
Okay, see, now there are 4 things here, and there were 5.
But there's a section that's gone from an earlier draft. So I just want to
What
make
should
sure
it be
that
in there?
Really?
No.
It's irrelevant, but I don't know how it was stricken because I didn't touch this.
Do you want to go back to the mic, Larry, so the whole commission can hear you?
Yeah, the line item that Commissioner Mealy is referring to really isn't pertinent or relevant to this particular subsection. I don't know how it got deleted because I didn't do anything to that section, but
The gremlins in the computer.
But from a planning perspective, you're okay with it
You're
not
okay
being
with
in
it
there?
not going?
yes, I am.
All right. Then the sentence right below that starts out the same. All upper floor dwelling units shall have balconies or porches measuring at least 36 square feet with no dimension less than 4 feet. The previous version added on to that saying upper floor dwelling unit means housing units which are more than 5 feet above finished grade. And
Yeah, I have to go back. I don't know what happened, whether it's just a cut and paste error, but I didn't even go near these.
Oh.
And the only reason why I didn't is because your editing didn't tell me to. So I only addressed those matters that you and I had discussed.
Okay.
So how this happened, I can't speak to it.
So do we need that sentence or?
Let me say this in another way. This is actually a stopgap ordinance. The main purpose of it that was driving it was the definitions for a hotel and a motel and distinguish that. These architectural standards and everything associated with it would be or going to be placed into the rewrite. I think I explained that earlier in talking with Mr. Teeples. So that between now and the rewrite, this section will likely be massaged.
Okay.
It won't really affect anything that's in the pipeline, but the definition was the critical
Oh, I know that.
part of the
Okay.
ordinance. So this will be massaged and it will be, I don't want to say reworked, but it will be revisited.
Okay.
I'm sorry? And it could be renumbered. Yeah, I'm a planner. I'm not a secretary or a clerk, and I apologize for that.
Well, I'm
but
not a planner, so when a sentence disappears, I need to know if it's important.
I hear you. I'm good. I'm good with any question you have. All I say is, as I was telling the city manager earlier, thank God for the return button on the Word document. And even with that, you can't escape trouble.
Yeah.
So.
All right, maybe, do we need to think about whether that's important, whether it should be?
It was defining the term upper floor dwelling unit.
Yes.
And what does it say?
Upper floor dwelling unit means housing units which are more than 5 feet above finished grade.
Any problem with that language?
I don't see where it's relevant to the community.
Oh, so
you're okay with its omission?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's okay. 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 All right, there was a section.
Plugged in?
Okay. And you said under pedestrian circulation, the new version had it all in one paragraph, and I'm sorry, pedestrian, I don't know what line it is.
410.
410. You're good. Oh, so it's back to being in, never mind. That's it.
That's it? All right, any other questions or comments? No. All right, thank you, Larry. We'll open this up to public comment. Any members of the public wish to speak on ordinance 2022-03? If you can, please state your name and address.
Yeah, so James Sherman, 1916 South Flagler Avenue. I was just looking at line 94 in this item, and it's a pretty, I don't know, I know we're kind of looking to brand our city a little bit more and kind of go with like a more of an ordinance of like, you know, maybe organized. I wouldn't say like cookie cutter necessarily, but I was just doing a quick Google search of classic revival and Spanish mission and Mediterranean. I mean, it's pretty drastic. I mean, it looks like the Key West and Caribbean and the St. Augustine, the Anglo-Caribbean and Florida vernacular look pretty uniformed in their design. But if we were looking to maybe brand ourselves, I mean, you know, I know the new hotel renderings kind of take on maybe more of the Key West Caribbean, St. Augustine Caribbean type of look in the Florida vernacular. But I mean, so if a new business, I just kind of got clarification earlier about, I guess that 50% of the building, you know, has to be redone, that the, you know, they would fall under this ordinance. So just something to consider, maybe looking at the, you know, maybe if we're trying to brand ourselves a little bit with the hotels, motels. I'm not saying that everything has to be identical, but I think if, you know, again, if we're going to kind of stick to that southern, right here in our mission statement, you know, kind of that old southern Florida charm. I don't know necessarily, again, I'm not an architect by any means, nor do I say I am, but just looking at those two styles, I would maybe just consider looking at those closely, because I mean, you know, for uniformity purposes, we could have, you know, the hotel, motel over here that's for sale, you know, they could go with that classic revival, and we got this brand new motel coming in that's gonna, which I think the design's pretty tastefully done. Just something to consider, and I think the, you know, the townhomes that are going over and over off of over there by Publix, you know, they're kind of taking on that same look as the hotel that's coming in over here. So just something to consider, that maybe we look at the architecture, you know, take a closer look at the architectural styles. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, James. Larry, the city charrette that dictates the styles, does that need referenced under this section? Is it worth putting in, or is that redundant? Because that's what drives the design of all our buildings.
Yes, sir. The architectural styles that are in the ordinance mimic what is in the charrette.
Okay, so no need to do any rewording. It'll all be driven off charrette.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments from the public on this ordinance? I'm seeing none, we'll close public comment. And then, do we have a motion on this?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so I will look for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve, there's the number, ordinance 2022-03.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any final comments? All right, Penny, if you could roll call.
Commissioner Bellhammer?
Yes.
Commissioner Mealy?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Commissioner Bryan?
Yes.
Chair Cooley?
Yes, the motion passes unanimous. All right, staff reports. Drew,
Can we take a short
you want to
break?
do a quick break?
Yeah.
You all want a break?
Yeah, because we'll probably be tied up.
All right,
Going through
then
some
let's
of this.
resume at 8 o'clock sharp. Is everybody good with that? Okay, all right, we're on break. Y'all can just turn your mics off.
tonight.
I have a question,
Commissioner Mealy.
but should I wait till my comments?
Is it for me?
Yes. We were working on an ordinance about stores having their goods.
Oh, sorry. We were working on an ordinance about having stores having goods outside. Are we working on that?
When the last time I brought it up here, I had asked if we wanted to roll that into LDRs, and the answer I got was yes. So I have that on my list. I have a list of things that have been discussed and I am starting to get the packets from Larry as he finalizes the form that he expects you to see. That's when I'm seeing those LDR rewrites for the first time. So I'm going through them as he sends them to me. So when I get to that section, yes, that language will be included in your LDR rewrite because that's
okay.
an LDR.
I don't know if this is maybe something my fellow commissioners might want to reconsider doing that. I forgot that we had said that. I think Debbie forgot too. With the pending state law that's going to
The business impact.
Should we, and we've done this with other things that are going, right now we just passed one that's going to go in the LDRs. Might we not want to move that up? Fellow commissioners?
I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I don't have a problem with moving anything forward in light of some of the legislation that's coming forward. I mean, I was talking to someone today and I said, you know, as an example, the ordinance that we just passed, if we wanted to pass something like that on balloons, we're going to have to do a study to see the impact it's going to have on a small business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, that's just a small example.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and really, with that coming forward, I think the expectation, the hope is we will have LDRs before then, because the LDR rewrites is just, you know, a breeding ground. If they pass the liability portions of that, and that's the LDR rewrite itself is a breeding ground for that kind of litigation. So I think the hope is that all of the LDR rewrites will be done before that would take effect.
Okay.
Good point. I'm for it.
Well, now I'm confused. Are we?
If you want, I can, whatever the commission wants, I will do. But I know in conversations with Larry and the city manager, and I'm expecting a July effective date if that passes. So I would expect that LDR rewrites to be done before July. I know I know, and I also, I know.
Could we look at this maybe around May timeframe, and if we think that it's not going to be done, then we could implement something or propose
maybe April. April, I'll put it on my calendar to report and see where we are on the LDRs, and beyond that, what we might do is if LDRs are dragging out, staff might have other things they want to go ahead and expedite if we're dealing with that legislation.
Okay, no, I think that's a good idea.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you, Joe.
City manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I flagged that. So we'll be looking at that. As you know, I have made a selection for our CRA director. And Ms. Karen Miller is here tonight, so you can grill her, so you can be introduced to her. And very happy to have Karen. She's an extremely knowledgeable, experienced person. She'll do us a great job. Her comment to me was, "Oh, great, I get to come back and finish what I started."
Yeah.
So, Karen, if you want to come forward and say a word or two, answer any questions, I'd like to introduce you to Ms. Karen Miller, our soon-to-be CRA director. On Valentine's Day, Monday, is when she starts.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, and Mayor, it's a pleasure to be here. Like I said, it is coming home 11 years later to finish what I started and to see the results of what we were able to accomplish 11 years ago and the growth in the downtown of the restaurants, and that was our vision. So I'm extremely excited to be back here and to work with y'all and to work with Mr. Whitson.
Yeah, just, I know she doesn't want to toot her own horn, but the undergrounding of the wires out here I mean, the commission, of course, was an important part of the process, but was Karen's doing the first Fridays, Karen's doing, those are just to name two that pop into my head right now.
The lighting and some of the sidewalks and some of the detail work, the crosswalks.
Well, just she was our first and only CRA director. So, and anything the CRA accomplished, and I can't believe it's 11 years, but up till 11 years ago, was due to Karen's leadership. So, welcome back.
Karen, it's a pleasure to meet you, and welcome back. And Valentine's Day, I think Mr. Whitson should buy us all flowers.
I agree.
Plans for chocolate.
All of us. Chocolate.
Take chocolate.
Just no balloons.
No balloons.
All right, Mayor.
Karen, 11 years ago, you could see the difference that you made within the CRA district. You added fresh paint, you added lights, you made a difference, and we're excited to have you back and see what difference you make in the future.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
What do you got for us, Karen?
Sir?
What do you got for us?
Nothing right now, but I'm hitting the ground running.
You want to start tomorrow?
Have you seen William's list?
No,
You've
but
heard about it.
You know, we'll take it slow is obviously not going to happen. Yeah, that's the way I like it.
It's the old bait and switch, you know?
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
All right, what else you got, City Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I forwarded the commission a report on our comings and goings in Tallahassee. Thank you, Commissioner Bellhumer, for all you keeping up with me and all the in and out of the buildings and meetings.
Keeping up with Eggers.
So anyway, I thought we had a successful trip. We are working on getting FDOT here in March. Is it the 10th, Chief, that they will be here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the 10th. You'll have the report that you asked me to put together on the crosswalk and the safety issues. And we missed them up in Tallahassee, the leadership up there, because they were in appropriations meetings. Funny how they would want to go to that instead of meet with us. But anyway, we'll make another trip, and Edgar's working on that. So we're making good headway there. There's going to be, I got a phone call from a reporter with Fox 35 channel in Orlando, and they want to do a live broadcast the last Friday of February from downtown Flagler Beach. And so, Mayor, we'll be calling you and maybe some of the other commissioners, and we'll have a few fun things on camera, and I'm looking forward to a nice event there. So buckle up, that's going to get good.
So we'll call that last Friday.
Yes. Also, the mayor had asked us to put together a comprehensive list of what we could do to better serve the citizens, and I wanted the mayor to know that we're working on that. We've got the list all filled out. Now I've got to kind of trim it down because the staff was so full of ideas. I was like, golly, I don't want to know if I want to commit to all that. So I want to trim it down a little bit, and at your next meeting, you'll have that list in advance. And then the strategic planning retreat is going well. I'm about to send out the resume of Mr. Abels, who is going to help facilitate. Mike is a 2-decade-plus city manager and former Army officer, has a tremendous skill base and breadth of experience, and he'll be helping us with that. So that's going to go well, and I think Prince's Place is good to go for April 26th. So the stars are beginning to line up there and everything going well, and I will keep you posted and keep you informed on how we're doing. And one thing that we're going to add to that effort that's really exciting is that I discussed with the commission the opportunity to buy a new software called Civic Space, where we can do online feedback from various questions and engage the public. And guess what? We had our first introduction meeting today, and we're going to have that software installed and up and running and the staff trained. And we're actually going to get to ask the public what they think the strategic planning priorities ought to be in the future ahead of your meeting, so that you have some feedback ahead of your discussions on the 26th.
Fantastic.
So we want to get the public's fingerprints on it. We certainly respect and appreciate your leadership and wisdom, but I think you would agree with me that it's important to ask the citizens too what they think.
Absolutely.
So we'll be working on that. Also, wanted to let you know that I got word the other day that the owners of the parking lot here, that is I guess it's the overflow lot for the Funky Pelican, they're going to turn it into a paid parking lot in March. No, the owner of the land. And so stay tuned. We'll see how that goes and what they do. They'll coordinate with me. They said that they have video cameras of what happens in that parking lot, and they feel like that if they were to make it a paid parking lot, that maybe things would be better from a litter perspective and other kinds of behaviors. So, Chief, they also offered to give you access to that footage anytime you needed it. So I just thought I would share that with the commission, because I know that that's something that may be of interest to you and the community.
Is Ray Bachet aware of that?
Hadn't had a chance to talk to Ray yet. I just got back.
Oh, I didn't know when this happened.
Yeah, it's been very recent conversation. So, and then finally, I keep bragging on the staff, and I don't want you to feel like that I'm a broken record, but I'm just so proud to be here. I'm just so proud to be given this opportunity to lead some of the finest men and women in this state. And Chief Downey, crime in our city was reduced nearly 19% in 2021. And the clearance rate, that is the rate at which we solve crimes, has come up nearly 16%. It's a 41% clearance rate. So, that's just pretty incredible for a small office to have that kind of clearance rate. So I just have to tip my hat to you. This has to be one of the greatest things that we could do as a police department. That's hard evidence that our community is safer and better because of the leadership of Chief Downey and his team over there. So I had to give it up for him. So. And that, sir, is my report.
All right. Chief, you got anything? No, sir. No? City planner? You're part of staff, so we're under staff count. We're going to ask everyone.
Well, I wanted to say something about Chief Downey. I got an email. I don't know if we all got the same email. It's sometimes hard to tell. We're a person who actually reads the staff reports, a citizen, and he was wondering why with the proactive traffic control, am I using the right term? Mm-hmm. Why so much emphasis was on one particular street, which is like 2 blocks long and ends, the dead ends in a dirt lot. And I knew that where that traffic control occurs is determined by citizen complaint. But I verified that with the chief, and I told him what the complaint was, and he said, well, the following week we're going to change it up a little bit and do it in different places. And sure enough, when I read this Times report, it is in different places. So thank you, Chief, for doing that.
All right, Penny. All right, we will move to commission and mayor comments. Mayor Johnston.
I have a couple things. First, I'd like to thank Linda Preventure for running the All Stars Beach cleanup last Saturday. It was a success. And just a reminder, we have beach cleanups every first Saturday at 9 a.m. meeting at the A-frame. Also, First Friday was a huge success. It was exactly what our city needed. It was the perfect size, the perfect attendance. It was lots of residents, family friendly. It checked every single box. Another item is I spoke with someone from St. Augustine Beach. And they had heard about our glass machine, recycling machine that will cut and break up the glass. And St. Augustine and St. Augustine Beach are in discussions with wondering if we could take their glass.
I've already talked to the commissioner.
Oh, they are just making their calls down the line.
Yeah.
So I said, I invited them out to our open house, let them know that I would be speaking with William and to make any phone calls to you, and we could kind of see how much capacity we have before we open it up to other cities. But I thought how exciting that the word's already out. And
that's great.
So at that, and then also we had our FB3 meeting, which we were all in attendance, which is a great recap of all of our city meetings. And also the last thing I had on my list was, I have two things actually. I wanted to follow up with posts and ropes. We had talked about before about that being a budget item, and I don't remember us having a dollar amount with that for that project. I know as we approach the summer season, people are going to be cutting through the dunes, and if we were going to do that project, this is the time to get that done. So I wanted to bring that back up to the top of the list. And then the last and final item I had is we had discussed earlier throughout this meeting a letter that William and I had submitted to the county for budget, and I have a copy of it here. I can pass it down. We had some items on here. I went ahead and I underlined to point them out. We had asked for $87,285 plus the current CPI for the Lifeguard program. We asked for a local match from FEMA of $105,000 for the walkovers for reimbursement. We had asked for an additional $63,000 for extra assistance for the cost of our sanitation, cost rising with all the tourists coming to the beach. We had also included the $25,000 for the fireworks because that might not be a line item for TDC. And there's a couple of them more on here, and I'm welcome to, you can pass that down and take a look.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Okay, City Manager, there was a question about post and rope.
Yeah, it has come up before. I need to go back and check and see what funds are budgeted for that. My approach on this is I want to kind of do a better survey of where that's appropriate, because in some places signage is the best, it's already working, and other places not so much. And then of course you've got the FDOT issues where it has to be breakaway and all those kinds of things. So I'm kind of going through a process of trying to figure out where posts and ropes are most appropriate and where they're going to be most effective. And then, yeah, I'll report back to you all on what funds we have targeted for that. And yeah, I mean, we need to get going on it, but it's just one of 35 projects I've got going on at this point. And I'm not saying it's unimportant. I'm just saying that there's a lot on the plate to get to.
All right, so you're going to come up with a proposal for that? Okay.
Yes.
I think that was everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Commissioner Bryan.
Yeah, earlier this week, I attended the Flagler Board of County Commissioners workshop on beach management. Commissioner Millie was also there. She walked past me and missed me.
I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
That's
she was
okay.
Focused.
There was a lot of discussion here, and I didn't bring my notes with me tonight, but one of the great takeaways in regard to that whole thing was resiliency. And I thought it was quite interesting when they talked about the fact that Flagler Beach qualifies, and I thought it was very informative for the public, to know that Flagler Beach qualifies for so many FEMA dollars and federal dollars for beach renourishment and all, based on the fact that we have so many beach accesses. That's one of the key things that we have here. When you go from Beverly Beach north, it starts lightening up a lot. They don't even qualify in some cases because they don't get enough points in order to get the federal funds. So it's very important that we understand why it's important to continue to have our beach accesses. I participated in the Northeast Florida Regional Council's resiliency workshop yesterday, and it covered a lot. And the main part that Farah Ilami and Margot Maring was covering was the basis for resiliency, and they talked about sea level rising, coastal and inland flooding. They also talked about some of the extreme heat that the minimum, which is greater than 75 degrees. So what they're doing is looking at what the heat is doing and how it's generating and what's considered to be excessive when you start getting over 75 degrees. The productivity decreases, and what they're looking at over the years as we start to get hotter and warmer and higher sea levels, there's going to be a chance for less productivity because people are going to have to take off, or they're going to be taken off because of the heat buildup and all. So there's going to be fewer hours worked during the day. So we're not talking about maybe 2 years, 5 years, but looking down the road as time moves on. They talked about the Northeast Florida Regional Council's efforts in the early days of May 27 to 2018, when they first started talking about community and conversations and getting involved. And then we also broke out into workshops that was led by Elizabeth Payne, and we talked about the priorities. And $125,000 was actually donated or given by FDEP for the Florida Association of Counties to actually work on this resiliency project. And it has to be done by June. So there's going to be another workshop coming up, which I'll probably sign up for as well. Some of the individuals that attended was, Commissioner Hanson, Commissioner Dance, and also the county administrator from Flagler County, Ms. Petito. So there was a lot of involvement. We also had an opportunity to contribute what we thought our thoughts were in order to start moving towards developing a resiliency plan, preservation fees, and these kinds of things here, and where we're going to go to in the future. So those are some of the highlights of those two meetings that I met. One of the things I'd also like to do is I'd like to give a shout out, if you will, or really congratulate one of our individuals that's left the power board, that's Don Deal. For many, many years, Don Deal has participated here and contributed a lot to the community, and he turned in his resignation, I think, last week. So we're going to really miss him and miss his leadership and all of the great things he's done in the community, but he's going to be moving on to do some traveling and join his family. Still working on cigarette butt receptacles. Put up one yesterday at the Anchor restaurant and also one down at Cool Beans. It was pretty interesting that while I was putting one up at the Anchor, a couple walked by and they stopped and they started looking at them and they was like, what is that? So anyway, the conversation ensued and she says, we see these things all over the place. I said, yeah, there's a purpose for them. And of course, right down there by the Anchor was probably about 150 cigarette butts. And I said, that's why we're putting it up. I said, you know, the owner asked that we put one up, and it's being sponsored by the city, and hopefully we can clean up the environment now. So they were very impressed, and they said, you know, they would like to get something like that done going in Canada as well, because that's where they were from. They were here visiting, and I said, just do me a favor. She said, what's that? I said, go spend some money. So they started laughing, and they said they would do that. Thank you, Mr. Whitson, for the code enforcement log that you have on. I read it today, and it's very good. I think it's going to be a very good asset to the city and to the community, so we can keep up with what's going on. I met with Father Benny, over at the Catholic Church last week, and the idea was to talk to him about how we could partner during some of the extreme times we have when we have a problem with parking. And he welcomed me with open arms. He says, anything the city needs, if you guys want to, whatever you want to do, you come see me and we'll work it out. So I said, well, what we'd like to do is be able to use your parking lot in some cases when we need some overflow. He says, not a problem. He pointed me to one of his assistants. He says, whenever you need some help, tell your city manager to call us and we'll see what we can do in order to help the city. He says, we're here to help the city and help the community. So I think that's a resource that we should be able to tap in the future. And the last thing is that I did receive the bronze plaque, but because I had to rush off to get some stitches this evening, I forgot it. I apologize for that. But our mayor has contributed the first check of $250 for the first bronze plaque. So we will be starting to put those into production as soon as I get all the names. And I'm starting to call people now, and their checks will come in. And the checks will be made out to the city of Flagler Beach, not to Commissioner Bryan, please. Because I don't want anyone to say that I'm getting my new boat with resources from the city. So anyway, very happy to have those things going, and thanks for everything you do.
You were cutting a fish up, weren't you?
No, I wish I had been cutting a fish up, but I can tell you I have some very, very sharp carving knives. Very sharp.
All right, Commissioner Belhumeur.
Well, in the interest of time and Larry's behalf, I guess I'll bring up these sandwich signs first. There was a request during the business meeting that the city expand the expanse of being able to use these sandwich signs in front of businesses. So, all right, if I ask Larry his thoughts on that. What are your thoughts on expanding the parameters?
Well, the boundaries now for sandwich signs is the community redevelopment area,
okay,
which includes the mixed-use downtown district, the A1A retail corridor. So we're looking at the downtown core, basically North 2nd Street down to South 5th Street, and along A1A on the north side, 11th Street, and down to 13th on the south side. You get beyond the, let me take A1A first, and I'm glad Carolyn's here, and by the way, not to digress, but she said she came back home to finish what she started, and I told her, welcome to the world. So anyway, we're getting there. It's been a little bit longer than I thought, but we're getting there. Anyway, along A1A, I don't know if that's the area that of interest.
Yeah, specifically Pope Plaza.
Yeah, Beach Belly Bob.
Okay. My feeling on that personally, we're a beach town community. We're supposed to be eclectic. If it's done in an appropriate manner and it's done to mimic what is being done here in the downtown area, I don't have a problem. That area is zoned towards commercial, but it's not in the community redevelopment area.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, from a planning standpoint, I think it's a pretty cool idea.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
So some questions. I know I wasn't there when they talked about the sandwich signs.
Beach Belly Bob just stood up at the end of the meeting and requested that we entertain the idea of allowing, sandwich signs beyond the boundaries that they're allowed now.
So the only discussion was just geographic, allowing them to do it, not have bigger signs. And
No.
He said he'll put it out in the morning and then he'll take it out, he'll bring it in, so it's not gonna stay out there.
If he puts up a sign, he has to take it down during the day because it's not.
And that will be a challenge because you can't put sandwich signs in the right of way. And that's existing. And that's even in the CR, you can't put them in the right of way. And there's a decent sized right of way where he is, so it will be a challenge. But yeah, if
he or anybody else that's in a business district, I would think we might want to include.
Okay.
Not just Pope Plaza, but anywhere up and down A1A that's actually,
So y'all got a consensus on expanding?
So that would be an expansion so basically it would expand the sandwich board exception to the CRA and the tourist commercial zoning district. Did I hear that correctly, Larry?
Any commercial zoning.
Any commercial zoning would also mean your general commercial, which are areas where you might see the type of sandwich boards that are less
Yeah.
You might see the cash for gold in general commercial.
My suggestion is to keep it to the tourism commercial, and then if it works there and we have other requests, we can entertain them at that point.
Okay. Consensus? Everybody's good with that?
So individuals that want them, or do they have to come before the board, or can they just arbitrarily put them up?
It's by right.
Okay. All right.
So we would expand the carve out that exists currently for the CRA. We would expand that to the tourist commercial district.
Is that by ordinance true?
It is by
Yes.
ordinance.
Okay.
We bring this back. We're writing this down and we'll.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yes,
happen.
yeah, what you do
tomorrow.
tonight does not change anything, and that should make sure everybody understands that. You're giving direction for us to work on an ordinance that would accomplish
Correct.
this.
Right.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, that was easy.
And
Thanks for your opinion, Larry. Appreciate you hanging out.
Since we're on sandwich boards, Commissioner Mealy or Commissioner Phillips, did that cover everything you guys wanted to discuss?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thank you, Larry.
I guess everybody saw and read William's text message, email about our trip to Tallahassee. From comparing it to other visits to Tallahassee that I've attended, it was a very successful one. Edgar ran us around. He made our lobbyists made all the connections for us to, and at some points actually escorted us around for most of the time. So that went very well, especially with Kevin Guthrie. He loves Flagler Beach and Flagler County. He used to be our emergency director.
It used to be Bob Snyder. Yeah. Oh, no, I mean Jonathan Lord.
Yeah, Jonathan Lord. So anyway, we made some good progress and had people listening. So that's was a successful trip. Well, we had another successful First Friday. There were a lot of people there, most everybody enjoying themselves that I could tell. However, we had a lot of pets there as well. So I know at one point Tom was given direction to put signs out around the perimeter so people would see and know that pets aren't allowed in the park. I don't mean to pick on pet owners, but a rule's a rule, and there were way more dogs there this past First Friday than I've ever seen.
Many.
So I don't know how staff wants to proceed with that, but I think we had a short conversation that you try and revitalize this.
Yeah, this conversation is adequate. We'll follow up, and I plan to work with Karen on a few adjustments. We're not going to fix what's already obviously successful, but there's some adjustments we can follow up on. So we'll take care of it, and then if you see other issues down the road, just let us know.
Went to a Friends of A1A meeting, and they're sponsoring this this conference amongst other scenic byways for everybody to come. Just pass them on down.
Oh, you don't see Major Drew.
There's enough there, Penny, too. Yes. So they're going to be coming from all different places to join in on this little conference and sharing of ideas and that sort of thing. And they're also going to do an actual real ribbon cutting to declare our portion of A1A a national scenic byway. So that's coming up the end of March. Just wanted to share that news. The monument for Veterans Park. Good news and bad news. Bad news is granite's like everything else in the world right now. You can't get it. So it's not likely we'll have anything in place before Memorial Day. However, the really good news is that I got a different quote for the exact same thing. It's like 30% less than what was originally quoted. So instead of 5250, it's going to be 3672.
That's amazing.
Yes, it's $1,575 or so savings there. I also did inquire about, even still, while we had agreed to add a monument, that I inquired about still doing a refurbishment on the one that we have. So unfortunately, at the moment, their polishing machine or whatever they use to polish these things up and clean them up is broken down. So when they
can't get parts.
I don't know about the parts deal, but I just heard that it was broken down and they can't get here directly. But that's something that I'm still going to follow up on and see if we can get that done by Memorial Day.
That'd be good.
So that's the update on the monument. I'll go talk to them tomorrow and see about, I'll talk to city manager first and see if we can pull the trigger and get this ordered, even though it may take 6 to 8 months to get the granite. Takes a long time to get windows too, doesn't it? Speaking of church parking, were you speaking to the Baptist Church, William, about use of their parking lots? Were you referring to one parking lot or both of them?
I was referring to the one that is across the river,
right,
at the big open lot behind Publix.
Okay.
Not the one that's here on the island.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you had a vision of some use for the one here on the island too.
The plan Chief and I worked out is we'll have a red, white, and blue lot. The red lot will be the one that's near the Badcock where that was before. The white lot would be hopefully the First Baptist Church property. And then the blue lot would be the one down by the boat manufacturer place there. So that way people could identify where they want to park, and then we would have a graphic, a map, a lot of communication, a trolley schedule, everything all worked out for the 4th.
Okay, I was just curious about that. That's all I have.
Commissioner Mealy.
Okay. I don't want to repeat what other people said.
Thank you.
Went to the park board meeting and there was a preliminary development plan for, the car wash, yes. The builder, given that nobody really wants a car wash there, we have to say yes because it's general commercial and you can have car washes in general commercial. But the builder seems to be willing to look at making it as resident-friendly as possible. So hopefully that will work out. The beach management plan workshop at the county, it was very technical. It was really very detailed. I don't know, Penny, did you get my email asking you to share it with the rest of the commission? Okay, if you look, then otherwise I'll send it again. There was a speaker from Olson Associates, who's the engineering people. There was Jason Hara from the Army Corps. And our projects are good. Both projects that we've been talking about for years, we're safe. So most of the presentations had to do with north of us, and specifically the hammock area where they're still having houses hanging over the edge, I think. So I have a lot of notes, and I'm not going to spend the time now, but if you are interested, and Penny can send it out to you. No? All right, I'll try again, because I asked Faith to send it to me, which she did.
Is it a large document?
Probably.
Yeah, that's it. I'm only allowed some maximum size of 15 megabytes.
Yeah, I don't know how big this was.
Well, if anything, throw it on a thumb drive, and then I can get it out.
Oh.
Yeah, and we could talk to Faith too. So yeah, we'll get
She
it.
had all her presentation, Olson's presentation, and the Army
that's
Corps
why. It was just
presentation,
too
all
large.
running together.
Yeah.
So if she could send it, well, I can put it on a thumb drive if that works.
Okay.
Rather than
Yeah,
bother
that'll
Faith.
work.
Huh?
Yeah, that'll work.
Rather than bother Faith again.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, you can? Okay, yeah, you can tell where one ends and the next one begins. Okay.
Commissioner Millie, you may want to cover the one question that you asked.
Oh,
that
yes,
was very
I'm
relevant.
getting to that. I was
Oh,
saving
okay.
the
I
best
thought you
part for
were
last.
I want to remind you.
All right, so you can, when you read through it all, you don't have to read every single graph that's in there, but it was interesting. So one of the things was that this is going to cost $6.1 million a year. Which everybody gulped. And both Chris Creed from Olson and Jason Harrow had ways that this could be ameliorated somewhat. And Chris Creed said, yes, and the cities that are along the beach, namely Marineland, Beverly Beach, and Flagler Beach, should all chip in to help the county. And I said, I don't disagree with that. What I disagree with was he left somebody out.
Oh,
So I mentioned that many, if not most, of our visitors are from Palm Coast. And since all but one of the commissioners lives in Palm Coast, they gave me kind of dirty looks. I don't know if you could catch that where you were sitting. But we've had this discussion many times over many items. Palm Coast definitely should be a part of dividing up that cost. So that was my little performance. Chief, also thank you for all your stuff about not parking on the dunes when you see a whale. Thank you for that.
That was good.
And that our residents are now able to get financial assistance for their utility bills and for their housing too. So I'm glad to see that. Other stuff can come some other time.
I just want to mention one thing. The club that is near and dear to Commissioner Mealy and I is the Flagler Women's Club. And tomorrow we have our rummage sale. So Friday and Saturday, starting at 9 a.m. So please come by. Any money that we receive keeps our lights on.
How long does it go to?
Oh, and it's only cash only.
Yeah, 9 to 2.
Friday, 9 to 1 on
Saturday. Okay.
That was it?
By the time it gets to me, everybody else. I know.
Start on that end.
I know. I went to the FB3 meeting.
All right, well, I want to talk about First Friday. No. It was great. I already talked to the city manager about this, but I just wanted to kind of talk about it as a group. Y'all remember the person that cut down the trees at Silver Lake Park? And I just wanted to, make sure we as a body are okay with putting to item number 37 on his list, replacing those trees that were cut down. I walk the park and there's all these spots where those trees used to sit that are cut down. And we did get the money, Yeah, right, Drew? That was all settled and everything?
I believe so, a long time ago, so I don't, but yes.
Right, so,
I think we did.
yeah.
I have to go back and check.
That's how I remember it.
Yep. That's how I remember it, is it got agreed on, and just like to get those replaced, because we have a park that has sporadic trees because somebody decided they wanted to landscape it themselves.
Oh, that's another thing Karen did. She got the FERDAP
She cut
grant.
down trees?
No, she got the FERDAP grant.
I drove by, I thought I was seeing things. I said, what happened?
She got the FERDAP grant. Was it FERDAP grant?
Nice.
FERDAP grant for Silver Lake Park.
Well, somebody went in and cut your trees down because they wanted a view. Yes, that actually happened.
So I apologize, I'm not aware of that story. So we sued the homeowner?
We went to litigation.
Went to litigation.
And
It was the threat of code enforcement, I think, but we settled the code enforcement case by requiring the mitigation as the code requires, and that's where the tree bank payment comes in. And that's where the replacement funds come for the trees that the chair is talking about.
Oh yeah, a homeowner paid a crew to go into Silver Lake Park and cut down trees that were blocking his view.
He lives direct, you know where the walkway that goes out into the lake? His house is right there. And those trees were blocking.
Yep, he wanted the view. And it's just, to me, it was a reminder, and you had no idea that even existed, so I wanted to just kind of bring that back up. And when you walk Silver Lake, you can see where those nice, fully grown trees were, that we need to put nice, tall ones back.
Very full ones.
Right, very full ones. Wanted to talk about, in our ordinance, when contractors bid on stuff, in Flagler Beach, we do not have any type of clauses that talk about local preference.
Can't.
You can't do that? Because it's done in a lot of other places, because I had a contractor.
Not if they're government.
True.
We do have some local preference, or at least we did have some local preference in there, but the state laws have changed since then, so that's right. For governmental work, the local preference has been phased out.
Oh, well, that takes care of that.
Another one of those wonderful home rule things.
Yeesh. States running everything.
You can thank our legislators.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that is all I got. So we will go to final public comment. Any members of the public have a public comment they would like to cover? All right, we'll close public comment and look to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, we're adjourned. You didn't want to get up there 407 years ago? Or
Come on. A week in Fribble.
I don't know.